Arrow's Formula One car.
As an American sports classic, the Indianapolis 500 creates its own legend. And again today, the present will be tightly linked to the past.
Next weekend.
They're racing at Indianapolis.
A.J. Foyt will win the Indianapolis 500.
John Cock and Beers!
Over the roar of the engine, you can hear the 400,000 people. Mario Andretti.
Cardinale Jones.
Johnny Rutherford. And look out, it crashed before the start of the race. He won it by less than the car lane. No one has ever seen this before in Indianapolis.
Levi, it's on the wall. He goes into it.
Before the start of the race, he won it by less than
Takes the lead in the Indianapolis 500. You've got 18 laps to go.
We made history. Now it's your turn.
Greg Ray makes a move and takes the lead at the Indianapolis 500.
Bobby Gordon is on fire.
Hey, take your time with this.
In Indy history, Eddie Cheever has won the 82nd running the Indianapolis 500. Buddy Lazier picks up the lead of the 500 with 8 laps to go.
Billy Boat has qualified for the 84th running of the Indianapolis 500.
What will happen today? What history will be written today? What legends will be born today? ABC Sports presents the Indy Racing Northern Lights Series, today featuring the greatest spectacle in racing. And after 2 days of off and on rain, we've gotten a small break. We have very light sprinkles. It's about 70 degrees and only a slight chance of rain is in the forecast for the start of the race in about an hour. The field for the greatest spectacle in racing includes Indy Racing League champion Greg Ray, Juan Montoya, the top driver from the championship auto racing circuit, and Steve Knapp, who's made a miraculous recovery from a broken neck sustained 10 months ago. It's time now for the premier auto race in the world, the Indianapolis 500. Hi again, everyone. I'm Al Michaels, and never has a location and a number been so intertwined. In a game of word association, it's hard to imagine anything coming to mind after Indianapolis but 3 magic numerals. When this race was first run in 1911, it took Ray Haroon 6 hours, 42 minutes to finish those 500 miles. These days, even with numerous yellow flags, the race is run in less than half that time. But engineering accomplishments notwithstanding, it is still a race about the human race. 33 drivers will strap themselves into motor-driven bullets and compete on the type of exhilarating edge very few of us will ever experience. It's a diverse group.
Oh, John,
the fastest qualifier never even sat in a race car until he was 25. Today, 8 years later, Greg Ray will be on the pole. In the second row is a man who has miles to go before he sleeps. 1,100, in fact. Robbie Gordon races here and then flies immediately to North Carolina to run another 600 in the stock car tonight. In the sixth row, a two-time winner of this race provides a blast from the past. Al Unser Jr. comes back to Indy after a 6-year absence. And in the seventh row, well, if you were at a certain high school graduation ceremony in Central Ohio last May, under cap and gown and mortarboard was a 5'2" 18-year-old whose grade point average ranked 7th in a class of more than 170. Today, having had a regular driver's license for only 3 years, 19-year-old Sarah Fisher becomes the third woman to start the great race. So there's plenty to cover, plenty to talk about, and we'll begin with the pole sitter. It is traditional in motor racing for a champion to drive number one, and there is the car of the pole sitter, one Greg Ray, who last year won the Indy Racing League title, but it hasn't been a smooth road. In 1998, he was driving for a low-budget team, and they put $100 bills on the bodywork. All kinds of sponsorship was welcome. Then in the race last year, he had the lead 4 times for 32 laps, but that pit road accident with Mark Dismore wrote an inglorious end to his day. Last week, however, he proved he was back in the business, completing a 4-lap qualifying run with an average speed of 223.471 miles per hour to earn the pole. Greg Ray, the pole sitter. Let's go to him now with Jack Garrood.
And Al, when Greg Ray was in his early 20s, he used to get up past midnight to watch reruns of Indy 500s, and today you'll bring the field down. How are you going to do it?
Well, certainly very carefully. You know, it's a 500-mile race and 200 laps here, and it's really not that important to lead the first lap, the second lap, even the 100th lap. It's the last lap that pays all the money.
Greg Ray came here, Al Michaels, back 4 years ago and had to start on the last row. Since then, he's been on the front row.
And Jack, a lot of eyes obviously will be on him. A lot of eyes will be on that car starting in row 7, the car number 15, driven by Sarah Fisher. Just another symbol that nothing is ever out of reach. In 1977, Janet Guthrie broke the gender barrier in Indy. And in 1992, Lynn St. James became the second woman to run here. In the mid-'80s, Sarah Fisher's father introduced her to quarter midgets. On she went to sprint cars and regular midgets with great success, and then all the way to the big time when she made her Indy Racing League debut in Texas last October. Then, last Saturday, right here, 19-year-old Sarah Fisher of Commercial Point, Ohio, earned a spot in today's race. Let's meet the youngest driver in the field as we go to Vince Welch.
Sarah Fisher has run hundreds of races, and she has won many, but never before the Indianapolis 500, a race of this magnitude. Sarah, what are your thoughts an hour before race time?
I think this is the time to go. This is the best part when you actually get in the car and go. It's past the media, it's past the fans. It's the part of racing that I absolutely love, and definitely just looking forward to getting in there and going.
What do you see as your biggest challenges?
I think finishing the race. That's going to be our #1 goal, and if we can do that, we're going to be fine in the end.
Sarah Fisher, Al Michaels, she is one of 7 drivers to be vying for the Rookie of the Year award, an award won by only one other female driver.
That is a story that is as good as it gets. You know, we mentioned a couple of moments ago Lynn St. James, and she is one of 2 women in today's field. Lynn St. James missed the race the last 2 years, almost missed this one as well after this frightening crash as she warmed up to qualify last Saturday. But she was okay, and on Sunday, in a new car, she was quick enough to earn a 7th start in the 500. Let's go right now to Dr. Jerry Punch.
From her impressive Rookie of the Year performance in 1992 to that resilient recovery from a frightening crash 1 week ago. And Lynn, once again, you have beaten the odds here at Indy. Might this be your most gratifying start today?
Well, because of Dick Simon and Dick Simon Racing and Yellow Freight, I am back in the Indy 500, and I'm savoring every moment of it, absolutely every moment of it. I'm looking forward to the race. History I know is being made, but I'm not thinking about that today. I'm thinking about the race and about the fact that there's a future, and I'm very excited about that future.
Al Michaels, because of the courage and perseverance of Lynn St. James, and today, Sarah Fisher, the spirit of the American woman will continue to loom large at Indy.
And Jerry, we can tell you that Janet Guthrie now lives in Aspen, Colorado with her husband. Today she is in Denver. She is watching this race in a hotel room. There'll be no more ardent viewer of the Indianapolis 500 than one Janet Guthrie. The 84th great race. We'll be back. Gray skies, it still sprinkles. The umbrellas have popped out, but as of right now, it appears we will have an on-time start for the Indy 500. And these 33 drivers comprise the starting grid. The front row features pole sitter Greg Ray, last year's kart champ Juan Montoya, and Eliseo Salazar. From row 2, Robbie Gordon tries to erase last year's heartbreak from inside Scott Sharp and Jeff Ward. In row 3, Jimmy Vasser returns to Indy after a 5-year absence with Stan Waddles and Robbie Buell. 1998 winner Eddie Cheever starts on the inside of row 4 alongside Mark Dismore and Robbie McGee. 9-time Indy veteran Scott Goodyear, rookie Sam Hornish Jr. and Donnie Beechler comprise row 5. In the 6th row, rookie Jason Leffler is surrounded by 2 former Indy winners, Buddy Lazier and Al Unser Jr. The spotlight in row 7 shines brightest on rookie Sarah Fisher. She's next to Stefan Gregoire and rookie Ayrton Daré. Row 8 is composed of Buzz Calkins, Richie Hearn, and 11-time starter Raul Boisel. Jimmy Kite, rookie Jacques Lazier, and the comeback kid Steve Knapp are in row 9. Working their way through traffic from row 10 will be Davey Hamilton, Jared Schrader, and Johnny Unser. And in the 11th and final row are Billy Boat, Lynn St. James, and rookie Andy Hillenberg. Well, the newest story, it's beginning to rain a little harder right now as we take a look at the garage of one Chip Ganassi, a fixture for years here at Indianapolis, but a man who now comes over after an absence from the Championship Auto Racing Teams circuit. And let's visit with him as we go to Leslie Goodell. Leslie.
Chip Ganassi has spent most of his 42 years around the track. He first raced in the Indy 500 in 1982. but didn't taste victory at the fabled track until '89 as co-owner of Emerson Fittipaldi's team. By '95, he had become a fixture at the Brickyard.
And Chip Ganassi, after all the years, does the thrill of this moment ever go away?
Never, Jerry. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger. I'm coming back every year.
As it turns out, the Target Chip Ganassi racing team hasn't been back since. Ganassi, along with the other kart owners, staged the inaugural US 500 in 1996, the same day as Indy. A rocky start turned into a smooth finish for Jimmy Vasser, who won the race from the pole. Vasser went on to win the championship that year, the first of 4 straight championships for Ganassi Racing. They won in '97 and '98 under the talents of Alex Zanardi, and in '99 with rookie sensation Juan Montoya, who joins Ganassi in his return to the 500.
It's my pleasure to announce that Target Chip Ganassi Racing will be returning to the Indianapolis 500.
Ganassi brought his drivers here for one reason, and that's to win. Chip Ganassi returns to Indy for the first time since kart and the IRL became 2 separate series. Chip, why the decision to return this year?
Well, Leslie, it's interesting. I mean, the people think I did this return on my own, but it really took all of the kart owners to clear the weekend off here at Indianapolis. And I thought a few more of them were going to come back, and they didn't, but it took all of them to open the weekend up. Once that weekend was opened up, I talked to, I told Target, I said, hey, I think we're going back to Indy. And they said, let's go for it. So here we are.
What was it like when you first came back, and what has the emotional buildup been like since you returned?
It was certainly, walking into the garage area the first day, I remember with, and all the cars, a lot of excitement. I've been back here a few times, but not really in a race situation. And, to come back and walk through the gates, it's certainly a little tingle up your spine, no doubt.
How has the reception been by everybody?
Absolutely great. I mean, everybody, Tony, Brian, and everybody on down has all been, just open arms all week. Anything we can do to help you. And I have to say, I wasn't expecting it to be so nice of a return. And on the other hand, I thought that on the kart side, I was going to get a little more flack. And really, neither one of them, neither thing happened. Knock on wood.
Chip Ganassi celebrated his 42nd birthday earlier this week. Win here today might be a pretty nice birthday present, Al.
Okay, thank you very much, Leslie. With 2 drivers in the race, his key man is Juan Montoya. Starts in the middle of row 1. Like any 4-year-old worldwide, having grown up in South America, he was a kart champion by the time he was 14 years old, driving go-karts in his native Colombia. And then last year he won 7 races and the overall championship on the kart circuit. Today he makes his Indy debut from the middle of row 1. Juan Montoya as we go back to Leslie.
Juan Montoya finished 4th yesterday in the Nazareth kart race, and you don't look the least bit intimidated or worried about this race at this track today. You seem very relaxed.
Yeah, I think it's good to be here with the Target team. It's pretty exciting, I gotta tell you. It's a shame it's raining right now, but we'll see what happens.
You know about the history in this race. Do you feel that kind of history and tradition when you're out here?
To be honest, a little bit, but not massively. It's more, when you get into a truck, you just focus on driving the car and try to go as fast as you can.
I'm sure you guys talked race strategy. You're in the middle of the front row. What do you plan on doing? Do you anticipate trying to make a jump early, or is that something you need to concentrate on getting out to a clean start?
No, you just gotta get to the end, and you don't want to put anything in risk, and we'll see what happens. If you have a chance to take the lead, you'll take it. If you don't, you just go whatever you can go.
What's the most important thing for you to do today to win this race?
Cross the line first.
That makes sense. Graham Hill was the last rookie to win this race back in 1966, Al, and Juan Montoya looks to update the history books this afternoon.
Well, he can get Chip Ganassi into the winner's circle, as can the other driver, Jimmy Vasser, who raced yesterday in Nazareth, Pennsylvania, finished 7th in a kart race there. Grew up in Southern California, started driving quarter midgets when he was in grammar school, and he made his Indianapolis debut in '92. Then 4 years later, he moved over to the kart circuit and promptly won the championship. Now, after a 5-year absence, he's back home again in Indiana, and he is with Leslie Goodell.
Jimmy Vasser finished 7th in yesterday's Nazareth race, a kart race at Nazareth. Jimmy, you know what it takes to race this race. There's a fatigue factor involved. Yesterday, you guys put in 225 miles. Today, another 500. Does fatigue come into play in that?
No, not really. We got out of there pretty early last night. Got back, had a good night's sleep, and to be honest with you, the ovals aren't as physically demanding as road courses, and we could do 2-3 day tests sometimes where we run all day. So I don't think physical fatigue is going to be much of an issue today.
What has it been like for you to be back at this track?
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, we've been well received, and there's been a lot of changes. Tony George has done a lot of great changes to the track, and you know, it's a beautiful facility.
I take it drinking milk today would be a pleasure.
Absolutely.
What do you guys do as far as strategy is concerned? What is your focus going into this race?
Well, just get a good start and settle in, work on the car, take care of the car, and have good stops. I got my good guys here today. They're going to give me good pit stops, and you know, just be there at the end with a car that's as quick as it can go, and I think we'll have a shot at it.
Although you haven't been here since 1995, you do have experience here at this track, and of course, unlimited racing experience at this point. How much does experience play a part in this race?
Well, I think it always plays a part, and but you know, certainly you don't need to be like been here 10 years to win this thing. I think Juan's going to have a good shot. He's never raced here. He showed that he can run up front and run fast. So we'll have to wait and see.
2 top 10 finishes yesterday. If they can do that again today, I would imagine the Target Chip Ganassi racing team will be quite happy, Al.
Okay, Leslie, they'll have to do it after a delay because those sprinkles when we came on the air have turned now into a fairly steady rain. And I'm not auditioning for a job at the Weather Channel, but I think we're at the back of a front. The front already moved through. Right now, we've got the tail. Unfortunately, that tail right now has caused these cars, for the moment, to go back to the pits. Our coverage continues from Indy after this. A.J. Foyt, for the moment, staying dry. He drove to 4 wins here in Indianapolis in his illustrious career. Last year, he was the car owner. Kenny Breck, who decided to this year run on the kart circuit, won this race last year, is not back to defend, but he has 3 cars in the field as he seeks to go to victory lane for the 6th time. But right now, we have a brand new facility here. That is the Pagoda, which was built over the past year and a half here at Indianapolis. Scoring and timing, and the officials are there, including Brian Barnhart, who is the Director of Racing Operations for the Indy Racing League and the man who will make the call as to when and whether this race can start. Brian, first of all, give us the latest weather forecast. What do you know right now?
Well, Al, we're a little disappointed, obviously, as everybody else is, with this latest shower that's just come down. It's going to delay us considerably. We'll wait till the rain stops, and the Indianapolis Motor Speedway track safety crews and maintenance crews will start running the trucks and the jet dryers and get it dried off as soon as we can.
To the best of your knowledge, right now in Indianapolis, it is 10:24. What are they telling you in terms of when the rain will stop?
Well, this one kind of boiled up on the radar screen. We were keeping track of it all morning, and there really wasn't anything west of us for most of the morning.
So the ceremonies continue here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The sky brightening. Again, the morning dawned gray. We had a little bit of sunshine between 9 and 10 o'clock, then enough rain between 10 and 10:30 to force what will now be approximately a 3-hour delay in the start of the Indianapolis 500, but a lot of time before sunset here in central Indiana, so there shouldn't be any problem, barring any more rain, getting the 500 miles in. 200 laps around this 2.5-mile oval. The 33 drivers getting ready to get strapped in, or at this point even strapped in completely into their machines. And of course, very shortly we will have another tradition with Jim Neighbors singing Back Home Again in Indiana as we once again join the PEA announcer Dave Calabro.
Race day conditions, please clear the pit area. If you are not associated with a racing team, directly associated with a racing team, clear the pit area. It's race day. Well, race fans, it's time for that traditional back home again in Indiana. Please welcome back Mr. Jim Neighbors. Home again in Indiana, and it seems that I can see the gleaming candlelight still burning bright through the sycamores for me. The new mown hay its fragrance through the fields I used to own. When I dream about the moonlight on the Wabash, how I long for my Indiana home.
And normally that is followed by an immediate command to start the engines, but there will be a slight delay right now because of having to take the cars back to the garage area and then back out to the track again. They are refueling some of the cars, so in just a couple of minutes we will hear those famous words or some variation thereof. Let's check in with Jack Carew. Jack.
Al, how important is aerodynamics? Well, the Target Team Ganassi crew is literally taking helicopter tape and taping over a lot of the grommets where you can take off the side pods to try and make it smoother. As we count down towards the Indy 500, for Juan Montoya, Juan, is it still just another race?
No, it's not another race. I think it's a big event. You know, it'll be very interesting to see what happens.
What about on the start? Will it be a challenge into turn number one?
No, you know, we're going to try to make it pretty simple. You know, if we have a run, we'll have a run. If we don't, we'll settle for second or third, whatever we are.
In 200 laps, Al, probably the most important area are these mirrors. And Vince Welch, we know that these mirrors can sometimes make the difference between winning and losing, especially if you don't look in them.
That's exactly right. Scott Sharp has his mirrors right here, and he's starting at the front, in fact, the middle of row two, so he's going to have a lot of cars in the back. Scott, you had a significant problem with your clutch in the last practice session on carburation day. Is that a concern for you now? You've not had a chance to run the car since then.
No, it's not, Vince. I'm really confident in these guys. We had a slight adjustment problem. The car was fine in the air, but once we put it on the ground and loaded it, you know, it gave us a bit of a problem. But the Delphi guys fixed the car. We got out at the end of carb day, a couple shakedown laps. Everything seemed to work fine.
Everything seems so hurried right now, but these guys have got their focus. They're ready to go. It's been a long wait for the Indy 500, but we're just about there. Dr. Jerry Punch.
And a moment ago, they were rocking LSAO Salazar's car back and forth. You see him rocking Juan Montoya's in the distance. They're trying to get the last drops of methanol in before we fire them up. We'll lean over and ask Juan. Juan, with the delay and the threat of weather, does that change your strategy with the possible threat of weather?
Well, you know, we have AJ, you know, on the pit, you know, monitoring the situation. So he's going to tell us if we need to hurry up, you know, before halfway. But he says, you know, he'll be in charge of that, so he'll make the final decision. He's the master of this.
You said in the drivers' meeting you and Juan and Greg Ray had a gentleman's agreement at the start. What is that?
Well, that we expect, you know, Greg to hit the bricks first, and then, you know, Juan and me will follow him. But that's only if everything is perfect. If he's slow, you know, getting out of the, you know, making the gear changes, you know, we can take the lead. But we're going to respect him if he doesn't make any mistakes.
And guys, the rules are no passing until you hit the bricks, and then it's anybody's race into turn one.
And Jerry, right behind Eliseo Salazar is his teammate, Jeff Ward. Jeff, have you talked to Eliseo at all about maybe some tactics on the start?
Well, not really. I mean, he's just going to try to get ahead of the guys in front of him. I'm just going to try to get ahead of the guys to the left of me. But basically, they earned their position. We just want to get off to a good start, drop in, and then get to that first fuel load, and then see where we're at.
This is the only race in the world where they start 11 rows, 3 abreast. You find yourself on the outside, awfully close to that concrete wall. Does it concern you?
No. I like passing guys on the outside, so I like being out here better on the inside. It's you see a little more. You don't get pinched off in the middle of the corner. You have a little more track to use, especially on the opening lap when the track's clean. So we'll just see what these guys do up ahead of us before we get going.
Vince Welch, they say that the outside line is the advantage. You got to remember, too, he drives the defending champion car, number 14.
Well, we'll see if the outside line is the advantage for Robbie Buell. He starts on the outside of his row. Robbie, will there be an easy way to the front today?
No, I don't think there's an easy way to the front. We just got to stick with our game plan and just kind of see what develops here in the opening laps and get a sense of what the pace is and make sure we can do something to be around at the end of this thing.
Robbie Buell, he's looking to make his way to the front. He's already won one race this year, and that was in Orlando. His teammate today, Steve Knapp, has already lost radio communication. It's a one-way deal for Knapp right now, and the race hasn't even started. We'll keep our eye on that one and see how that might affect his performance. Al Michaels?
Okay, thank you very much, Vince. As the crowd amuses itself doing the wave here, and it won't be long before they'll be waving the green flag at Indianapolis for the start of the 84th Indy 500. Thinking of Jack Arute talking about the start of the race and 11 rows of cars, 3 abreast, and that straightaway is only 50 feet wide. Let's go upstairs right now to the guys who will call the race. Bob Jenkins, along with Tom Sneva and Ari Lyondike. Guys?
We're just about ready to go racing. Thank goodness. Tom Sneva, the 1983 winner, is on my right, and Ari Lyondike, a 2-time winner of the 500, is on my left. Let's explain a little bit more about this delay and why we're having this hold here before gentlemen start your engines.
Well, actually, they're trying to fuel the cars. They had to warm them up again, and they get a precise amount of gallonage to run the 500-mile race, and this is the second warm-up because of the rain, so they had to top off some of the tanks.
We've been talking to many of the drivers down there, Ari, but nobody has asked the question, are you nervous? When you're in your race car at this point, are there at least butterflies?
For sure there are butterflies. I mean, you always feel them, and the excitement of the race, and just to be here, even upstairs here in the booth, I got goosebumps as this whole tradition starts all over again. But definitely the drivers are nervous. But now they're just focused on getting through the first lap clean. And you hear the drivers talk a lot about, gentleman agreement and things like that. But if there's an opening in the front row, we know a guy like Jeff Ward is going to go for that opening because that's in your nature. You're a race car driver. You're trying to move up, not back.
I'm sure all the eyes are on the skies because, of course, everyone wants to know whether this is going to go the full distance. An official race is 101 laps. Let's hope we can get the entire 200 laps in here this afternoon. Al?
Okay, thank you, Bob. And they are telling us that the forecast for the rest of the afternoon is good. We will find out. Well, they always have an honorary starter, someone who waves a ceremonial green flag, and the man in the foreground is our boss. That is Howard Katz, who is the president and executive producer of ABC Sports. He will wave the green flag today. That is a perk and a half. Let's go back to Jack Arute.
Al, Jimmy Vasser first came to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway with a very good friend of his named Jim Hayhoe. Since then, he's been away for a while, but he's part of this potent Team Ganassi team. Jimmy, does your experience here count for anything today?
Well, we'll wait and see.
How about this long delay? How frustrating is it for you? Because I know you've waited for a long time to get back here.
It's not so bad. I mean, it's the same for everyone, just trying to wait out the rain. I mean, it's pretty simple like that.
This is number 2 car in the Target Team Ganassi team, but it is also a number 1 driver, and we want to show you right here on the steering wheel. See these 2 little lights there? When a yellow comes out, those lights will begin to blink. That's a signal for a driver to slow down. But also when those lights go out, it's a signal that the pits are open and time for service from his Target Team Ganassi crew. 6 guys over the wall. Al?
Hey, Jack. Well, they're telling us right now another beautiful aerial view of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway that in about 2 minutes we will hear the sound of those 33 engines at Indy. Since 1911, the legends of racing have made their mark at Indianapolis. What's next? Who's next?
I was the first four-time Indy winner.
I broke the 150-mile-an-hour barrier.
I shattered 200.
My quest to be an Indy legend begins today.
And there he is. His quest begins today. It is Greg Ray in car number 1, emblematic of winning the title, which he did last year, the 1999 Indy Racing League champion. Never got into a car until he was 25 years old. 8 years later, he is among the very best, the fastest qualifier, and he'll lead this field of 33 down a straightaway that is 5/8 of a mile long. And into the very first turn, a 2.5-mile track here at Indianapolis, 200 laps. And the crowd is getting ready right now because that roar is about to come up. And the command will be given by the daughter of Tony Holman and the mother of Tony George. And she will be introduced by the public address announcer here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Jim Philippi.
Well, as many as you race fans can see, this is a very, very busy area right now with cameras and mics all in place, waiting for the command to start the running of the 84th Indy 500. And here to give those words is the chairman of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Board, Mrs. Mary Hallman George.
Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines.
The two ladies and the 31 gentlemen have started their engines. The race is at hand. We go to Jackaroo.
Al, Greg Ray made believe in talismans. Over the years, his now 6-year-old son, Winston, has always given Greg a lucky charm. Last year was a wristwatch that was for Buzz Lightyear. This year, Greg Ray's wife, Winston's mom, went to the store and they picked out a little green rock. Greg carries it in his pocket in the cockpit. It says, "Make it happen." Jerry?
And Chip Ganassi, your driver in the middle of row 1, they call him Wide Open Juan Montoya. Any concerned about the start?
Not at all, Jerry. I mean, he's shown he's a champion last year. He's taken this place no problem. I've said it before. He's as cool as a cucumber at the start.
Is this place as special as you remember it, Chip, 5 years ago?
Without a doubt. Listen to that crowd. It's very special.
Lots of excitement. Vince Welch.
Sarah Fisher has 3 main goals today. Finish on the lead lap. Stay on the lead lap. Make sure you go the distance. And the third one, clean pit stops. If her team has the clean pit stops, finishes on the lead lap, and of course finishes the race, she believes it's a top 10 finish. The question, stamina. Sarah Fisher has never run a race more than 200 miles. Al Michaels?
Vince, very few things in the world of sport, not just in America, but anywhere, that can compare to the start of the Indianapolis 500. We're ready for it. Let's go upstairs to Bob Jenkins.
Well, 2 days of time trials have called the field of the fastest 33. Here they are on row number 1, the Battle of the Champions, the Indy Racing League Northern Lights Series champion Greg Ray and the Kart Series champion Juan Montoya. In row number 2, Scott Sharp in the middle there. He had a clutch problem in the final practice on Thursday. In the third row, outside there, is Robbie Buell, who came from 32nd to finish 6th here a year ago. Back in row number 4 on the inside is Eddie Cheever, who won this race back in 1998. Row number 5, starting in 13th position, is Scott Goodyear, twice a runner-up in this event. In the 6th row, 2 former winners and a rookie. Back in row number 7, we have 2 rookies and a seasoned veteran, the veteran being Stefan Gregoire. In row number 8, the middle of that row, is Richie Hearn. He ran third in the 1996 Indianapolis 500. In row number 9 on the outside, Steve Knapp, who ran third as a rookie here 2 years ago. In row number 10 on the inside is Davey Hamilton, the only driver to start all 33 Indy Racing Northern Lights Series event. And in the last row, Billy Boat, Lynn St. James, and Andy Hillenberg. Lynn St. James makes her 7th Indianapolis 500 start here today. Well, the cars now beginning to make their way down the backstretch. They will go 3 times around, and just sitting in the grandstand before the start of the 500 is a thrill for most. I can't imagine what it's like for our Leslie Goodell, who's in one of the 2001 Oldsmobile Aurora pace cars. What's it like, Leslie?
Bob, to say this is unbelievable would be an understatement. To see nearly 500,000 people on their feet anticipating the start of this race, there's a tremendous sense of excitement that's been building all day. You can literally feel the adrenaline rising. Looking down the front straight as we come around the 4th turn, it's a lot different than what I saw 2 days ago when I drove around an empty speedway. It's like the track suddenly shrunk. It looks very narrow right now. What else is amazing is we're just getting over 65 miles per hour. They'll be traveling at over 200 miles per hour very shortly. This is unbelievable, and it's obvious this is the calm before the storm.
And let's hope the weather-type storms stay away for just 3 more hours. Some of the stories we'll watch today. Indy Racing Northern Light Series champ Greg Ray against Juan Montoya. Al Unser's first Indy since '94. Sarah Fisher, 19 years old in her first 500. And A.J. Foyt's 3 drivers. He was the winning car owner last year. Perhaps the most vulnerable car part, the gearbox, especially on restarts and coming out of the pit area. Now the cars come down the main straightaway 2 more times around and we'll get the green flag. Al Unser Jr. was born in Albuquerque, New Mexico, but calls Indianapolis his home. Tom Sneva, let's talk with him in his car.
Al Unser Jr., Tom Sneva in the booth. First of all, welcome back. And second of all, obviously, your thoughts this close to your first start in the last 6 years.
Well, Tom, it's good to hear from you, and I tell you what, I have missed this place so much. To drive around here and see all these people here, this is what it's all about right here. And I just hope we have a good, safe start, and hopefully we can get the 500 miles in.
Have a great race, Al. Good luck.
Thank you.
Do all teams have the same race strategy? Let's find out from our pit reporters. First to Jack Arute.
And Bob, the pit strategy has actually unfolded a little bit differently because of the weather. You could hear it in Al Jr.'s voice. They hoped for 500 miles. Earlier yesterday, they let us sit in on the session. They said they were going to try and make every pit stop under yellow, not get out of sequence with the drivers and not with the other drivers, and not go racing until the final 100 miles. Just about 30 minutes ago, they changed that. They're going to try and carve their way to the front early, Jerry.
And Eddie Cheever had the same philosophy, try to ride for 100 laps and then race the second 100 laps, but not going to happen. They're going to change it now. Cheever's going to go to the front because of the impending weather. Bob?
Well, the drivers have been surrounded by the fans and media the last 2 weeks. As they come down for the pace lap, we're wondering what they're thinking about. They're now all alone in their cars. And we wonder what their thoughts are a lap away from the green flag.
As you come around the 4th turn, you see the sea of people. The hair stands up on the back of your neck and you get ready for that green flag.
It's like the gun going off for the marathon. It's time to start the endurance race.
Watch out for the wrecks.
Anticipation, concentration, looking forward for the win.
Hang on, be careful, stay on the track.
I just want to feel and see everything and let my brain absorb it all.
You're just waiting for the green flag. You're waiting on the radio for them to tell you go, go, go.
Where to move, where to go, who you're going to pass.
It's time to empty your thoughts, empty your mind.
Excited, a little bit nervous, aggressive, but mostly very focused.
As the pole sitter, I'm not worried about leading the first lap. I'm worried about leading the last lap.
Now the field begins to form in their 3 abreast formation down the backstretch. Tom, Ari, both of you have been in this position. What are your final thoughts half a lap from the green flag?
Well, again, you hope you've talked to your dance partners. The dance floor is going to get crowded coming down that front straightaway. And again, everybody's looking for a smooth start. they've had to modify their strategy, and because of the rain.
I think guys right now are thinking a little bit different than normal. I think they're anticipating maybe a shorter race, so they're all going to be just a little bit more aggressive on the start. So let's look for this one to be a little bit different.
All right, as they move out of turn number 4 now, Eliseo Salazar moves to his outside position in the front row. The field moves on to the main straightaway. They come down, and Howard Katz, the president of ABC Sports, waves the green flag, and the 84th Indianapolis 500 is underway.
Look at Robbie Gordon on the inside of his teammate.
And he gives way to his teammate, Greg Ray, who moves into the lead as they go through corner number 2, but Robbie Gordon with a very, very aggressive move at the drop of the green flag. Looks like all the field moving through turn number 2 now, and they come down the backstretch for the first time. And the battle is for second position as Montoya gets second spot now.
Well, there might be some inter-squad talking on those radios between those two teammates here.
Yeah, Robbie Gordon got on the inside there, but got quite a little bit squirrely. That could have been more than just getting through the first turn safely.
Robbie got a good jump. They're supposed to keep 100-foot intervals between the lines, and obviously Robbie was going to the front in a hurry.
That's Jeff Ward taking the position from Mark Dismore as they go into turn number 1. This is the third straight Indianapolis 500 that Greg Ray has led. He came into this event having led 50 laps here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
That in car was of Dismore. That was inside Dismore's car that we had that quick shot of.
And the field is very close here. As you can see, we can have all the cars in one shot here, but at the start of the race, it looked like it was stretched out quite a bit. There was more than 100 feet between those rows.
There really was. Obviously coming through turn 4, they scrambled to try to get lined up, but Robbie Gordon scrambled the hardest.
Not a very safe start, nevertheless, and that lap 213.2 miles an hour for the leader. Second place, Montoya was a little bit quicker at 213.4. That's Eliseo Salazar running in 4th position behind Robbie Gordon. Jeff Ward is 5th, and Sharp is in 6th spot.
Well, Montoya did a nice job at the start. A lot of people concerned about the rookie in the front row, but this kid's got some talent and used his head on that start.
Oh, for sure. He's been using his experience, obviously, that he acquired last year in kart, and being a champion there doesn't really qualify him as a rookie anymore, but this is his first race here, so we'll label him that way now, but certainly not as a driver in the cockpit.
And the interval is just about a second between first and second position. There is Gordon, Eliseo Salazar 4th, then comes Jeff Ward. 215.4, the best lap. And that was turned in by Juan Montoya. So he's the fastest car on the racetrack at the moment, but still is running in second position. We're on board with Jeff Ward, who runs in 5th spot, about 5.6 seconds behind Greg Ray up ahead.
Yeah, the drivers are just trying to settle in now. They're trying to get a pace. They're trying to get a feel of what the car's giving them, what the balance is, and they'll be either moving sway bar adjusters or changing the weight from the left front to the right front, just trying to balance the car and feel the track conditions because of the rain. And Thursday was the last day they were on the racetrack, so things have changed, Ari.
That's a long time ago. I've seen the whole field actually be that close together as they come down the front straight going into turn 1 and 2. The whole field is really close together still, and we're going to look at an exciting and close race here.
10th and 11th right here. Robbie Buell, followed closely by last year's Rookie of the Year here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Robbie McGee.
Robbie McGee is holding his position. He started 12th. Right now in 11th place. He's just filling his car out. And these guys, after about 10 laps, will give their crews an idea of what their car is doing. The crews will take notes, and then the driver will come back another 10 laps later, and they'll keep track of what he's saying.
There you see some drivers who have gained some spots here in the first 5 laps of the race. Eddie Cheever has gained 3. Ayrton Dare has gained 4 positions. There, once again, the interval between first and second, and Jack Arute has an update on the leader, Greg Ray.
When Robbie Gordon made that move on his teammate, Greg Ray remained silent on the radio. Then the lap after that, Thomas Knapp came on very calmly and said, Greg, find a gear and find a rhythm. Rhythm right now, guys, is the most important thing. And they like the way Greg Ray is setting the rhythm right now.
Well, again, Knapp was telling him to find a gear. Some of the cars are running actually 3 top gears, 3 high gears, depending on the traffic situation. Now, a lot of the teams are only running 2 high gears because of a reliability problem. So this will be something that we're going to have to follow as the race develops.
As they start the race on a full fuel load, they will start in 4th gear and then start hitting the rev limiter, immediately go to 5th gear, and then the 6th gear is kind of a cruise gear to save gas. But Montoya's closing in.
Just about complete 7 laps here in the 84th Indianapolis 500. It's Greg Ray, Juan Montoya, and Robbie Gordon back after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Back live at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the 84th 500 is underway after a rain delay. 11 laps have been completed. This is the battle for 17th. That's Ayrton Daré and Al Unser Jr. right behind him.
Well, actually, Daré made a great start, has gained a couple spots, Bob. Al may have been a little more conservative, but now he's right back on his tail.
He's moved, he closed in on him, he almost passed him, and then he had to back off a little bit. And right behind this group is a second group of Sarah Fisher and Jason Leffler, those 2 rookies fighting it out for the next 2 positions.
Daré was leading at Las Vegas when his gearbox failed. Al Unser Jr. went on to win. There is Sarah Fisher, who is shown in the 20th position. Right ahead of her is Jason Leffler.
Well, Sarah might be a little faster than Leffler now, but she's just trying to learn some things here. Feel what the car's like when it's in that dirty air, the turbulent air that we experience when the race happens.
That's right. I mean, here we are in the first 20 laps of her life in the Speedway, and I bet you the last 20 laps she'll know a lot more than right now.
In fact, the schooling continues on Sarah Fisher. She's been told by Derek Walker to set a steady pace and go nice and easy. Meanwhile, up front, you talked about the fact that about now teams will start to get reports on what the cars are doing. That's the case with Greg Ray.
Well, a great battle for the lead as Juan Montoya tries to get around. Greg Ray got bottled up behind Lynn St. James, and now Robbie Gordon goes to 2nd position. Robbie Gordon passes Juan Montoya here on the main straightaway and goes into 2nd spot, and now maybe he can do what he wanted to do on lap number 1 when they dropped the green flag, and that is take the lead.
And that's a typical example of when you go for a guy in front of you, then you get cut off, you lose all your momentum, then the guy behind you just drives right by you, and that happened to Montoya.
Well, again, traffic and momentum, Ari, this year with the little smaller motors, right there. Robbie had a run. Look how it
Montoya goes back into 2nd as Robbie Gordon had to lift because of Lynn St. James, and that was all Montoya needed to take over 2nd spot once again.
Well, Robbie had to lift because he got in that turbulent air, had to roll out of the front.
And now Salazar goes around Robbie Gordon, and Salazar moves to 3rd.
That's how much momentum Robbie lost. He's lost 2 positions because Lynn St. James, I think her spotter forgot to tell her that the guys are coming up to lap her.
So that puts Gordon now back to 4th position, and boy, did he lose momentum. He was up there in a spot to battle for the lead, but now finds himself back in 4th as again the slower traffic tries to get around Lynn St. James. That's Jeff Ward there going into turn number 3 as he is in 5th position. Right behind him is Scott Sharp. Then Cheever, Vasser, and Waddles completing the top 5 are on board with Jeff Ward.
And here we see them closing in pretty bad, pretty big on the guy in front of him because he got held up by the car in front of him. So there's Lynn St. James on your right, letting him go by.
I think Lynn rolled out of it there to let those guys go.
Yep, now she got it.
But it's just an example. We're going to see this all day, Bob, this momentum thing, the traffic situation. The motors are a little bit smaller. They've lost about 75 horsepower from last year's motors, and so the draft and momentum are going to be big key elements as this race develops.
Now on board with Scott Sharp as he also slides to the inside of St. James as they approach turn number 3. And now Eddie Cheever tries to do the same.
Eddie Cheever got held up a little bit by Lynn there, but now he's going to get her on the front straight, get in the draft right here. Car will get sucked in a little bit, and then he slingshots by into turn 1.
Well, the NHL Stanley Cup Finals begin on ESPN Tuesday at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. It's New Jersey against Dallas. Coverage begins with the quest for the cup at 7:30. ESPN.com, part of Go Network, go.com. And now Greg Ray puts a lap on Andy Hillenburg. Next Saturday at 8 o'clock, the game will be on in prime time on ABC as we follow the Stanley Cup right to its conclusion. Andy Hillenburg loses a lap here in the early going. We're on lap number 17. That's Hillenberg to the left, and here comes Juan Montoya down the front straightaway to also pass him by.
I think what's really helping Montoya here is that he's not leading this race and not feeling like he's dominating this race. Right now, he's trying to stay with the leader, and he's learning a lot about drafting on the big speedway here.
Well, I think that's more the case. He knows, he uses his head for a young guy, and he's in a learning experience. He's feeling the car, he's feeling the track, the draft situation, and we're going to see a lot more of him as the day develops.
Down to Jackaroo.
And Bob, Greg Ray is reporting that the car is starting to develop a push as they run down the 35-gallon fuel load. And you can be sure that Greg Ray will make a change, probably in the stagger, in the first pit stop, which will come up in about 10 laps.
We will anticipate pit stops somewhere in the next 8, 9, 10 laps, as we have been under green all the way so far, and 18 laps have been completed. Greg Ray has just a couple of car lengths advantage on Juan Montoya as they come up to lap Steve Knapp at the end of the backstretch. Knapp driving one of the Infinity-powered cars, and Montoya and Knapp get very, very close in the third turn, but everything is okay.
Well, Juan had to pinch it, but he did get away with it, Bob.
Back with more live coverage here on ABC Sports in just a moment of the 84th running of the Indianapolis 500, delayed by rain, but we're underway now, 18 of 200 laps down. Back at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway following Al Unser Jr., who is in 15th position. You see he started in 18th spot, dropped back one at the end of lap number 5, but has been on the move since then. And right now he's just behind Scott Goodyear in 15th.
Your next stagger is slightly smaller. Yeah, half a turn.
That's Sarah Fisher, and she's talking about the cars probably pushing, and
I think that was little Al, and he was asking for a half a turn of wing adjustment. That means the car is fairly close balanced, but they're also going to change the stagger. So both those things affect how the car handles.
There's Derek Walker and Sarah Fisher talking about that issue over there. And now we see traffic ahead of Greg Ray.
And that is Jared Schrader just ahead of Greg Ray. And you see how close first and second are. And again, they approach a huge amount of traffic.
And that's Montoya in the red car, Ray in the green car, and Montoya right on the back. But we got traffic in the short chute, which is really a tough place to try to make a pass. But
that was...
well, they did a nice job. He did a nice job of giving them room.
Russ Calkins got out of the way very nice, but Montoya's going to take advantage of Ray getting slowed up
outside pass.
Thought he was going to be able to do it at the end of the straightaway, but could not. And a little bit of a wiggle there in turn 1 by Juan Montoya, but he hangs in there right on the rear wing of Greg Ray, who's led all 25 laps so far, and now we approach the pit window.
Well, again, that was a pretty smart move. It's way too early in the race to try an outside pass in turn 1, Bob.
Well, Greg Ray actually moved over to the left and kind of blocked him a little bit, and kind of made the track, made his car a little wide for him to go either way. So, but there's a lot of traffic ahead of them, and something's going to happen here pretty soon.
Well, look at the traffic. I mean, this is going to get good here in a minute.
And that's because we haven't had a yellow yet. It has been a great, safe race.
Look at this. Montoya way down on the inside. They're 4 abreast, and he's got the lead.
And now Greg Ray is being pinched off by that white car right in front of him.
Well, he's going to lose a bunch of momentum right here because he had to wait to go through the short chute before he could make the pass.
And so Juan Montoya now stretches out the advantage as Greg Ray is hung up behind Jacques Lazier. And he now goes to the outside of the racetrack and will make the pass. And meanwhile, Montoya still has a bunch of traffic up ahead of him.
And we've seen it earlier where traffic is going to play a big role in this race. But at the end of the race, don't forget, you usually don't have as much traffic around as in the beginning.
Well, the cars are a lot more reliable now, and so we might have this kind of traffic late in the race.
And now Ray takes a shot again at the lead and gets it going into turn 1. A terrific 2-car battle for the lead here as Greg Ray retakes the top position, but Montoya has become the 169th different driver to lead the Indianapolis 500. It's exactly what we thought it would be, a battle between the IRL champion Greg Ray and the car champion Juan Montoya.
He's coming back at him right there.
And again, Montoya wants it and gets it in 3.
I mean, this is great stuff. These guys want a piece of each other, Bob.
And you know what's so cool about this is that both are making no mistakes. You know, Greg Ray gave him the room at the very last moment, gave him the room to go into pit three.
And Greg Ray comes in right now. Greg Ray comes in. We heard Montoya say he'd be in 2 laps. Greg Ray, with an 80-mile-an-hour speed limit on pit road, comes down for his first pit stop, and it's under the green flag.
And Bob, watch the crewman that goes to the left front. There's a small wing adjuster, and that's the change that they are going to make on the nose of the car to try and make the car a little less pushy. First, they will put the tires on. 6 men are allowed over the wall. There's the turn. Making an adjustment instead of going to stagger. What they're trying to do is make a little bit more noise. And he almost killed the motor. Didn't have it in gear. Let's go now and take a look at Little Al.
Al Unser Jr. is also in for his pit stop. Work being completed here. And Juan Montoya now comes down for his pit stop on the 29th lap of the race.
2 more, we're stopping.
You saw him take a tear-off off. He's so busy on the racetrack, he had to get in the pit lane until he could clear his face mask.
Well, it's kind of hard when you're doing 220 miles an hour on the straightaway to tear that thing off. Sometimes the wind catches your hand, so it's better to do in the pit. But we heard Skip Fall of Treadway Racing also saying in 2 laps. So again, Treadway Racing looking at good fuel mileage for Robbie McGee.
Target Chip Ganassi team has completed its work, and Juan Montoya goes back in the race. Eliseo Salazar has also completed a pit stop, as we see several now on pit road, including Scott Goodyear. Well, at the conclusion of today's running of the 84th Indianapolis 500, time permitting, we'll bring you the conclusion of the Snapple Superstars. Stay with us for that.
It looked like Montoya's stop was a little cleaner than Greg Ray's, Bob.
Watching Salazar on Montoya, this is Jimmy Vasser. And Sarah Fisher is in the pits, but she has stalled the engine apparently and trying to get going, and it just won't go.
She has a problem getting it in neutral.
Well, again, this could be some of that gearbox stuff.
All clear behind, all clear. Out to the outside lane.
Well, a costly pit stop for Sarah Fisher, and again, just like you were talking about, Ari, earlier today, pit stops very definitely can decide the outcome of a race, as Jimmy Vasser now hits pit lane. You have to be down below 80 miles an hour, but by the time you get to that red and black barrel that you saw on the right.
What we see here is that Jimmy Vasser stretches fuel.
You're going to have to come around Dinsmore stuff. Come around Dinsmore stuff. Yellow hat Ricky.
That's Tom Anderson on the radio to Jimmy Vasser. But he has stretched.
Reach that fuel and watch Ricky.
Watch Ricky is the guy who's going to give him the sign to leave the pit. Ricky's going to be his lookout guy. So he doesn't really have to pay attention to anything else but to this guy getting in the out.
It's clear. You're okay. You're clear.
Clean pit stop by Jimmy Vasser, who has competed 4 times here at Indianapolis. His best finish was 4th back in 1994. He stays on the warm-up lane and will blend with the traffic at the end of the second corner down into the backstretch. So 31 laps completed here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and green flag pit stops are being seen. And right now we are showing that Robbie McGee is the leader of the race, who has not pitted yet. We'll be back with more live coverage in just a moment from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Back at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Eddie Cheever just took 4th position from Greg Ray. I'm Bob Jenkins. Up here in the booth with me, 2-time Indy 500 winner Arie Luyendyk and 1983 winner Tom Sneva. 36 laps completed here at the Indy 500. We've had 4 different leaders so far. Buddy Lazier is one of the fastest, if not the fastest car on the racetrack. He now moves up to the 7th position, having just passed Jimmy Vasser.
That's one of the guys we had to look for in the beginning. And he's getting blocked a little bit by traffic ahead of him. And we might see Jimmy Vasser repass him again here because he's been held up.
Well, there you see the results of the pit stops. Montoya stayed in the lead. Greg Ray lost 3 positions. And Scott Sharp lost a bunch of positions. And
well, you saw Jimmy Vasser. He had a run on Lazier and everybody, but he thought better of it getting into 1 and had to back out.
Lazier took the position of the car in front of him. And that's Jimmy Kite right there. And Lazier is moving up, as we thought in the beginning of the show. Eddie Cheever would. Now Cheever in 4th, and Vasser in 7th.
That was Jimmy Kite that he just passed by. Kite is a lap down, running in the 23rd position. There are 16 cars in the lead lap. Notice on your scoring rundown up in the upper left, the color of the car corresponds with the color in the little box. You can see that Donnie Beechler in 16th position is the last car on the lead lap at the moment.
And the thing about this race, Tom, is that it's so clean. We've seen some great racing. We haven't seen any contact. Clean starts, clean, just everything, and it's going to be a fast race if it keeps on going like this.
Well, so far so good, but there's plenty of action. There's been plenty of close calls out there.
Oh, yeah.
There's Eddie Cheever in the excited home, coming off corner number 4.
Eddie's actually one of the quickest cars in the corner right now.
And here he is closing in on the car in front of him. Salazar for position.
This is for the 3rd spot. Salazar holds him off for the moment. That last lap, Salazar run a 2:08.6 and Cheever ran a 2:08.2. So very, very close in terms of speed. Let's see what happens here as they come down the backstretch.
Well, Eddie's got a good run.
He's got it going. And he's going to get him. And now he has to deal with traffic in front of him. Jason Leffler going into turn 3, right ahead of Eddie Cheever.
And so Cheever goes to 3rd, Salazar back to 4th. 4 leaders so far. Greg Ray 26 laps. Montoya has led 11. Robbie McGee led 2, and Jimmy Vasser has led 1 lap of the race.
Gordon has, however, closed in on Montoya by about 4 seconds since that last pit stop. Now Craig Ray is closing in on Salazar here, so it looks like the tables are being turned here. Salazar going backwards a little bit.
This is the battle for the 4th position. Salazar currently in 4th, being pursued by Greg Ray, the defending champion of the Indy Racing Northern Light Series, who has once again in the year 2000 gotten off to a rather slow start, but he did last year and turned it on at midseason to take the championship. The average speed after 100 miles is 206.039, and Ari Leyendijk holds the record for the fastest 500-mile race ever run at 185.981 back in 1990.
You heard him talk about use the traffic, gain some momentum.
That was Greg Ray on the radio. It has fallen back a little bit, but listening to his voice, he feels confident and knows that it's early in the race. No rush. Behind him, however, here is Jeff Ward closing in a little bit, and I think Jeff Ward's going to make a pass on Greg Ray.
He's gotten a good run off the 2nd corner down the long backstretch. He moves to the inside of Greg Ray, but Ray cannot get down far enough to block him, and indeed, Ward takes the 5th spot from Ray.
Well, you see Ward, though, he got in hot underneath the guy and lost the front end a little bit, but he was able to get it back down.
On board with Buddy Lazier, who is in 7th, right behind Greg.
Ray sounds comfortable, but he's getting passed here by Lazier. Just got passed by Jeff Ward, and now it looks like Lazier's knocking on the door.
Well, sometimes when they feel real comfortable, Ari, they're not going fast enough.
Yeah, you don't want to be too relaxed. You still got to keep the adrenaline going.
Juan Montoya with about a 5.5-second lead over Robbie Gordon. 42 laps completed in the Indy 500. Back after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Budweiser and the Bud One Airship are proud to provide these spectacular aerial shots to you today, live above the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in cloudy skies, but the rain is gone, thank goodness. Here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Juan Montoya has a 7-second advantage on Robbie Gordon. 3rd is Eddie Cheever. Now, you won't see this anyplace else, fans. This is the exclusive ABC Innovative Track Map. On the straightaway here, number 9, that is Montoya. You see the interval between himself and number 32, Gordon, to is 2nd, and then Eddie Cheever back in turn number 3 is in 3rd position. Along the racetrack, the good battle is for 8th position. Jimmy Vasser and Al Unser Jr. And Al Unser Jr. has moved up nicely here into the top 10.
That's Vasser in the red car, 2nd in line, and Unser's the 3rd car, the white-black car.
Right behind those two guys is Sarah Fisher, and right behind her is Robbie McGee, who's running in 10th place. But
well, these guys, this line should have a run on Vasser coming down the front straightaway.
33 to Montoya. Looks like Sarah's trying to pass Al Jr. here.
She took a look, but...
Al Jr. was running 18th or so before the pit stops. His pit crew, again, has vaulted him up into the top 10. And that's what you need around here. We spoke about that earlier in the show. Good pit stops, quick and timely. So far, things are going according to plan over there.
Sarah Fisher had a bad pit stop that's dropped her a lap down in 23rd position. We're on board with Scott Goodyear, who's currently running in 13th position, also a lap down.
Well, we're not sure what happened to Scott, if he had a bad pit stop or what, because we know he's going to be towards the front before the race is over, but...
With the lap down right now, that's a little bit of a problem, of course, but we're not there yet. If the leader goes out, then we could be back on the leader lap. And it looks like Scott Goodyear is not happy with the car. He's not getting back on the throttle really quick. He has to turn in very gently. I suspect his car is a little bit loose.
Well, he's not having to turn the wheel very far there, so either they overcorrected it on the pit stop or he's been fighting that loose condition all day.
The Pennzoil Panther team won the Coors Pit Stop competition last Thursday, picking up $42,000, and they had donated $5,000 immediately to the American Red Cross. So they get the work done in the pit area, but obviously Scott is having a bit of a problem with the handling of the race car.
Another driver with some problems with the race car right now is Eddie Cheever. It's handling very poorly in traffic, extremely loose. He slipped the spot from 3rd to 4th. Earlier was running very well. Said he felt like the car was losing a little bit of power, but the telemetry says the motor looks good. He had earlier ran his fastest lap, but says it's terrible in traffic. Dr. Jerry Punch.
And there's a little bit of concern in the Robbie Gordon pits about fuel mileage. Yes, I said fuel mileage. Remember a year ago, they pitted on lap 26 and believe they may have given up as much as 3 laps to the other lead cars. They have told Robbie to ride in 6th gear and stretch it for a couple of extra laps. They will not pit until lap 54. They were scheduled to come back on 52.
Salazar passing Lynn St. James at the end of the backstretch. Salazar again in 3rd, having passed Eddie Cheever just a few moments ago. Back in 5th is Jeff Ward, 6th is Buddy Lazier, then Ray, Vasser, Unser, and McGee, the top 10. Stan Waddles, you see in the yellow car, coming down pit road for another pit stop. And on the racetrack, there is Stan Waddles coming to a stop. He was among the first to pit on the first sequence of pit stops and does so again.
And Eddie Cheever right now, a guy who says that he's really loose and really struggling out there, standing up in the seat. He's a guy hoping for a yellow because he doesn't want to drive the remainder of the stint to wait for his scheduled pit stop. And some drivers out there with bad handling cars are just hoping and praying for a yellow flag right now.
Well, what's interesting is that a lot of these guys didn't make a very big adjustment on that first stop. We just saw a half a turn or so. Usually that means the cars, they're pretty happy with the car, but if they turn the wing...
And with all the rain out there, now the cars are different. The track is getting some more rubber on it, so conditions are changing, and teams, as you said, Tom, have to adapt to these conditions. But the driver, in the meantime, has to keep the thing off the fence. And Jeff Ward is closing in big time on Eddie right now.
And as you know, Ari, it's if you're going to have the balance off, you'd rather have a little understeer than have the back end be loose on you.
Oh, yep.
See what Jeff Ward can do, if anything, with Cheever up ahead. They approach the end of the long backstretch and begin the turn down into turn number 3. Ward gains a few feet, but is not in position to try to take the position right now. Maybe he will as they come off the 4th corner and down the main straightaway.
In fact, Jeff Ward was pushing a little bit coming off 4 and had to get out of the throttle a bit and lost his speed coming onto the straight and couldn't make the pass on Eddie.
Well, it's so tough. You've got to time that. You got to time your momentum just right. If you get too close to him on the exit of the corner, you'll lose the nose just as you get to the wall. You got to roll out of the throttle and lose that momentum.
And you got to roll out of the throttle real gently, otherwise the back end will snap around you because you have your steering turned to the left so much. And now Buddy Lazier
Look at this run. Look at the run he's got.
And he passes Andy Hillenberg and also passes Jeff Ward, and so move Buddy Lazier up to the 5th position, taking 5th from Jeff Ward.
And Jeff Ward was held up by Andy Hillenberg on that occasion there, and that's what gave Buddy Lazier the chance to run up in the draft and pass him.
Well,
and Robbie Gordon is in the pits.
Robbie Gordon in the pits. They will make not a single adjustment on the car. Robbie says the car is, I quote, perfect. They are very concerned about having pitted early, though. They have him running in 6th gear to save fuel. They get it completely full of fuel. Gordon now gets it in gear and is away.
Reset fuel. Use your clutch. Reset fuel and use your clutch.
Robbie Gordon.
Don't know what he means by use your clutch. He might have a clutch problem.
Gordon almost won the race last year, running out of fuel late. He finished in 4th position and has had a couple of other 5th place finishes here at Indy in 94 and in 95. So he makes his second pit stop at the conclusion of lap number 55. And Montoya now has a 21-second lead on Eliseo Salazar, and Eddie Cheever 24 seconds behind. More in a moment from Indianapolis. Pit stops being made here in Indianapolis. Eddie Cheever is in, and just ahead of him is Greg Ray. The work on Cheever's car just about finished. Indeed, the car goes down from the jacks, and he rolls away. Greg Ray remains on pit road for the moment. You see the sticker tires there on Eddie Cheever as he comes down pit lane, and Greg Ray has also completed his second green flag pit stop and is rolling once again. Other cars in include Scott Goodyear and Davey Hamilton.
Bob, as far as Eddie Cheever was concerned, the car's still extremely loose in traffic. They took a front wing out, says he wants to just get it comfortable. He's out there just turning laps in 6th gear. Feels like the car is good enough, but it's not as comfortable as he would like it.
Well, hopefully this adjustment has made an improvement to the car for him, because at the rate this race is going, as we were talking about earlier.
Scott Sharp is into pits. He gives up his 5th position to make his second pit stop. Crew changing tires, filling it with fuel, waiting for the fuel to be topped off.
No wing adjustments on that car, so he might be happy with his car, although they might have made a tire pressure change or a stagger change. We don't know that.
And he's rolling. There is Juan Montoya, the leader of the race, and now he comes into the pit area for his pit stop.
Has to slow down to 80 miles an hour.
And remember, you can hear the gearbox coming up through the shifter. They're telling Montoya to slow down. He doesn't have the same sort of brakes that he has on his kart card. It almost makes his mark. Nominal stop. Chip Ganassi continues to tell him that things are good, that he's having a good run.
You ready?
Go. His visor, though, it is very oily. He asked for a rag. They said, we'll give it to you the next time. That was a 10.9-second stop.
Well, you could see him signal to the crew with his hand that he was having a vision problem. So either he's gotten rid of all of his tear-offs already, Bob, and he's got some oil on that shield.
And with his pit stop, he gives the lead to his teammate, Jimmy Vasser. And this is the second time that Vasser has led this afternoon.
And he took it off right after, as he was coming into pit for his first pit stop, he already took one off, which is pretty quick because he wasn't really driving behind a lot of other cars. So there must have been some oil coming from Greg Ray, who was ahead of him at the time, and that was about the only car ahead of him, right?
Yeah, early, but you know how it is early in the race. There's a lot of stuff going on.
Okay, you got the pylon. You got George is waving at you. Ricky's waving at you. You got to come around Dinsmore stuff.
That's Tom Anderson. He's vectoring Vasser onto pit road. Vasser hits the marks, the crew goes to work.
No problem with the time, Frank.
Let's keep an eye on if it make a change on the front wing. There they go. They make a change. On the left front wing only.
At this point in the race, Ari, that's pretty normal for guys to make minor adjustments the way they did with Vasser's car.
On board here with Buddy Lazier, who is in 8th position at the moment.
Passing Robbie Buell.
Well, Buddy's actually been the fastest car through turn 4 all day, Bob. We've got, some of these computers in the booth here, and Buddy Lazier in turn 4 is the fastest car.
And here we see Greg Ray getting a run on Salazar, who was held up by Robbie Buell, who just headed into the pits. And there goes Greg Ray.
Oh, and Greg Ray has a broken suspension. Impossible at this moment to tell what happened, but obviously the race is going to be over for Greg Ray.
Well, I don't know if he might have white walled, the car might have pushed and just grazed the right front into the wall, because normally without any kind of contact, you know, those things just don't break.
Caution is out for the first time this afternoon. Comes on lap number 67.
Yeah, he did hit the wall for sure, because there's also I mean, we know he hit something, but his right rear tire.
Look at Alan. Look at
and Allenser Jr. is smoking. He lost a lap just before his pit stop, shown now in 12th position, a lap down, and he too may be in a terminal situation.
He's got radiators, so it caught him out of the side pod, Bob, so the radiators let go. It might be a heating problem.
Yeah, I can see water going everywhere, and also got water temps going up.
Well, two contenders apparently eliminated here.
Put fuel and tires, and then we're going to pull the left body and see what's going on.
Greg Ray has made it to his pit box. And let's see if we can tell what happened out there as Allenser Jr. tries to find pit road. Here it is.
Well, again, he just got out of the groove. He just pushed. He got it up in the gray stuff and knocked the right front off of it, Ari.
Boy.
Last year was the left front when he had a collision on pit road. This year it is the right front that has done in Greg Ray. And the defending Indy Racing Northern Light Series is apparently out, Jack.
Yeah, indeed he is. It's going to take an awful lot to get him back repaired. I think what they might do, though, because points are so precious in the Indy Racing Series this year, they may take him to the garage area and try to affect the changes. In fact, that's indeed what they're going to do. A new rule instituted several years ago allows you, NASCAR style, to go down there in a gasoline alley and make the change. Let's check in with Vince Welch for news on Allenser Jr.
Well, Allenser Jr. may be a bit a victim of that Greg Ray incident as well, because Rick Gallus says that they believe they ran over some debris and possibly ruptured the oil tank. But either way, it's not a good sign for the Allenser Jr. team. There is heavy damage on the right side of the lower part of the side pod, and now they're going to take that part of the side pod off. You see them working on the right side. On the underneath panel, there is quite a bit of damage, so it looks like it's going to be a frustrating finish for Allenser Jr. Dr. Jerry Punch.
And a big break for Robbie McGee. McGee coming in just a moment ago. They were planning to make a pit stop just prior to the caution coming out. He was in turn 4. They decided to hold him out. They made a half a turn in the front wing adjustment. Robbie McGee catching a break there with a caution flag on lap 66. Bob?
With 9 cars on the lead lap, McGee is second, followed by Gordon, Buddy Lazier, and Eliseo Salazar. 67 laps completed under caution at the Indianapolis 500. The Indianapolis 500 is under caution at the end of 69 laps here, with Juan Montoya leading over Robbie Gordon and Buddy Lazier. I'm Bob Jenkins, along with a couple of Indy 500 former winners, Tom Sneva and Ari Lyondike. Under caution because of an accident involving Greg Ray, who hit the wall. Now, there's the stories that we talked about earlier. Greg Ray is out of the race, or at least back in the garage area getting fixed. Montoya leads. Allenser Jr. is also back in the garage area. He ran over some debris. Sarah Fisher is in 24th position. A.J. Foyt's drivers are 4th, 5th, and 26th. And so far, no major gearbox problems that we know of. Well, the Stanley Cup is coming this coming week, and the first 2 games will be on ESPN on Tuesday and Thursday, and then Saturday night at 8 o'clock. ABC Sports presents New Jersey and Dallas. Now 2 teams share 1 goal. ABC's John Davidson answers your online questions live during the NHL Stanley Cup at abcsports.com, a part of Go Network. Down to Jack Arute.
And Bob, they continue to work on Greg Ray's Conseco car. Greg, what a disappointment.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. We had a pretty good car we could run by ourselves, but in traffic our gears were too long, so we took some downforce out of the car on that that second pit stop, and with the wind, I think a gust just caught me out in turn 2, and that's it.
The disappointment evident in his voice, Bob.
So they do some work on his car, and they're also doing work on Allenser Jr.'s car. Leslie?
Bob, obviously working very quickly. They're changing the radiator, and they anticipate getting out on the track very quickly. Little Al got out of the car. He keeps peeking out to see when they're ready. He's ready to jump back in and get back out on the track.
While we're under caution and the track is being cleared of debris, we'll take another break and be back with more live coverage of the Indy 500.
once, Bob.
Looks like she has a problem on the right front, Tom. I don't know. Looks like that tire's a little bit flat.
Well, you can see the marking on the side pod, so we don't know if she got involved with Lynn or not.
I think she might have run over some debris, and 2 women are out of the field and 1 to go.
Well, again, you can see some marks on the side pod in this area, as well as the right front.
Tell the guys to get you back.
Here's what happened to Lynn St. James. Oh, they were 3 wide going into the corner.
Well, it looks like Lynn just sort of got booted out for whatever reason.
Sarah went on the inside of Lynn, but another car was on the inside of Sarah, and it just got too crowded. There was not enough room. Here we go.
Again, they were 3 wide. Well, Lynn's already in the wall. Sarah's in the gray, and she's going to tag the right side of the car. Right rear first, then right front. So both the gals got into the gray in the same corner, Bob.
And
coincidence.
Apparently all over for Lynn St. James, definitely, and maybe also Sarah Fisher. Here's another look.
3 wide.
Down into 1.
Sarah.
3 wide going in the front.
Oh, there was contact right there.
Lynn and Sarah get together. Lynn in the orange car goes straight to the wall. Sarah gets a little farther through the corner, but she's obviously lost some of the handling when they touched and got up in the gray on the exit.
And it all happened because of the car on the inside, and we haven't determined ourselves yet who that is. Went on the inside of Sarah. It got crowded there.
So they'll try to get the Walker Cummins special back to the pit area and take a look at the damage and see if they can't get her back into the race. Sarah Fisher, that is.
Well, what's amazing, Bob, is the first time we've ever had 2 gals, and they were able to find each other in the race.
Lynn St. James is out of the car and appears to be okay, but a second caution is waving over the Indianapolis Motor Speedway with 75 laps completed.
Nearing the halfway mark right now of the 84th Indianapolis 500. Al Michaels with you from the Speedway. If you joined us late, we had a long rain delay. We had a shower this morning about an hour before the start of the race, and that delayed the race for more than 3 hours, but a very clean start today. And there were no caution flags for a third of the race. And the first real bit of action we saw after the start of the race took place on lap 27. When it was Juan Montoya in the red car on the inside who gets by Greg Ray and for the first time assumes the lead, a lead he still holds at this point in the race. Then on lap 67, the hard luck Greg Ray pinches the outside wall. In the second turn, he is behind the wall, but Jack Carew told us he's trying to get back into the race. And then, of course, we had the incident that has precipitated the yellow flag that we have right now with Sarah Fisher and Lynn St. James involved. And for more on that, let's go to Jerry Punch.
Al, I'm in Sarah Fisher's pits with their team manager, Rob Edwards. And Rob, from your vantage point, what happened out there with Sarah?
It's a little bit difficult to see. We've only seen a couple of replays, but it looked like she just got sandwiched between 2 cars and just not enough room for 3 cars on that piece of the racetrack.
Any assessment from the people in the spotters to the damage on the car?
It's certainly the right side's pretty heavily damaged, both the front and the rear when she went into the wall. We can get the car back to the garage. We can have a better look at it then.
That's Rob Edwards. And at the impact, guys, she said, "I'm sorry, Derek Walker. I am sorry." He said, "Not to worry." Bob Jenkins?
Cleanup continues down between turns 1 and 2 here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We'll be right back. Here's a look at today's fastest laps presented by Centrum Performance. Eliseo Salazar is the fastest so far. That occurred on lap number 44 at 216.4 miles an hour. We see 3 drivers who have exceeded 216 here in the first 79 laps of the race. Well, Saturday International Soccer comes to ABC as Casey Kelly and a powerful U.S. team take on the South Africans in the first round of the U.S. Cup play. From RFK Stadium, it's the USA versus South Africa soccer at 4 o'clock Eastern time on ABC. Let's go down to Leslie Goodell, who's with Lynn St. James.
Lynn St. James just left the hospital. Lynn, you're all right. That's the good news. Can you talk about what happened?
Well, I didn't have the best handling car. We've been working on it, and then we worked on it during that yellow, just prior to that. So, quite frankly, I was watching my mirrors a lot. When you don't have a good handling car, you got to watch your mirrors a lot, and was really trying to drive more of a defensive race at this point until we got our car working well. So to me, I'm not exactly even sure it was, but came down going into one and just took a gutsy move. I mean, I tried to not, I didn't come down, but saying, no, I don't want to end up in the marbles. I got to be able to keep the race car on the racetrack. So I was surprised that somebody came down to actually try to make a pass there, because there wasn't enough of a run to get a clear run before you got to the entrance of the corner.
Lynn, thank you very much for your time. Jackaroo.
Well, Leslie, Owen Snyder calls the shots for the Infinity Power Plant of Eddie Cheever. You pitted early. You're gambling on weather.
Well, we are. We let the weather kind of make that decision for us. We couldn't go to halfway right now. We had a yellow. Boy, yellows are hard to turn down. We made a couple changes on the car that would take a little longer on a green stop. So we wanted to go ahead and make a couple car changes, put a little more fuel in, get a bigger window up on everybody. We're looking at running Montoya down, so he's beating us a little bit on the fuel mileage, so that's what we're trying to do, is get caught up.
Remember, 101 laps makes it official, and they're going to gamble a little bit, Vince, but they also made a wicker bill change.
Well, and Buddy Lazier's team gambling a little bit as well, too. They're paying close attention to Juan Montoya. If Montoya pits under this yellow, Lazier will pit under the yellow as well. Ron Himmelgarn also paying very close attention to the weather screen, realizing that potential bad weather could make this race a shorter event. We're 21 laps away from it being official. Right now, Lazier is running second. He wants to have an opportunity to move in front by lap 101. Jerry Punch?
And Jimmy Cott, you had a short event today. What happened to you?
We came in for a pit stop, and as I started to leave, it was kind of chugging a little bit in first gear, and it sounded a little funny, so I tried to catch second gear, and as soon as I let out on the clutch, it just locked up the rear tires. I guess the motor had locked up. That we've been losing a little bit of oil pressure. We're hoping it's maybe a filter or something, but this stuff happens. It's Indy. I mean, at least we can leave here with a race car and go on to Texas.
Jimmy Kite, early exit here at Indianapolis. Bob Jenkins?
Still under caution here at Indianapolis, as it appears the storm clouds are gathering. We go now to Robin Roberts with an update from our ABC Wide World of Sports studio in New York. To get topped off, we're on board with Mark Dismore here, who is in 10th place, but he is a lap down to the field.
Well, what we're seeing, Bob, is some of the leaders have made a pit stop already. Montoya's leading, but he hasn't made a pit stop, so it'll be interesting to see if he takes advantage of this yellow.
They have one more lap before green, and I think that move by Buddy Lazier is going to be very significant later.
Down to Jackaroo.
Well, let's ask Chip Ganassi, why didn't you call Montoya in this time by, Chip?
Jack, we just pitted about 6 laps before the yellow, so we really didn't burn down much fuel. So
even I can do the math on that one, guys.
Well, the Ganassi drivers are running first and second at the moment. Montoya, Vasser, then Robbie McGee, Dare. There's Ayrton Dare right there in that purple and yellow car. He's done an outstanding job running in the 4th position. He started back in 20th. Salazar is 5th, followed by Ward, Gordon, Cheever, Lazier. Those are the 9 cars on the lead lap, and Dismore, as we said, is in 10th, 1 lap down. And they will come down to get the signal of 1 more lap to go.
Well, Bob, we showed the graphic where Salazar has actually had the fastest lap. Some of that could be the leader is out by himself. He doesn't have the chance to draft off anybody. So these guys in the back of the pack can pick up the draft, and that may be some of the reason Salazar hasn't led, but he's had the fastest lap.
We have a new procedure this year. You notice that the pace car is already pulled off the racetrack. The drivers were told that the pace car would pull off when the 1 more lap signal was given, so that there would be no more passing of the pace car. As we have seen in the past, the pace of the restart determined by the leader of the race. He can pick up the throttle between turns 3 and 4.
And Bob, that really got a rise out of Chip Ganassi. All he saw was his driver passing the pace car, and he kept yelling, "Don't pass the pace car! Don't pass the pace car!" And then he realized that it was a rule change. He feels a lot better now.
Well, I'm sure he does, and he's picking it up right here, coming out of 3.
Well, you see Dismore is a lap down right behind the leader, so it'll be interesting to see if he can give Montoya any stuff to try to get that lap back, Bob.
Here they come to the green flag, and we're back to racing at Indianapolis on the 85th lap.
There's
That's Scott Sharp.
He's also trying to get his lap back, so the Kelly cars are determined to get by Montoya and get back on the lead lap.
And Scott Goodyear would also like to get a lap back. He is in 12th position.
Well, these guys are all guys that stop, so they can stretch it a little farther on this next pit window. This is going to be interesting to see how this develops.
Single file down the backstretch into turn number 3. There is Goodyear running 12th.
That's the yellow car.
Just looking out of the back of Scott Sharp's car. Got a good run onto the main straightaway. Behind him is Jason Leffler. Running good, clean today.
Again, that's the red and yellow car. That's Scott Sharp. Followed by Jason Leffler. That's in the Penske-sponsored car, actually. And we actually saw Roger down there in the front straightaway before the race started.
It's another Treadway car, the other 2 cars. Robbie McGee running in 3rd place right now. And Raul Boisel.
United Auto Group Special, driven by Jason Leffler. Here is Jimmy Vasser, who is back here right behind that group of cars, running in the 2nd position.
Right behind him is Robbie McGee with Treadway Racing.
Let's go back to our race fuel position. Go back to your race fuel position.
And the reason why Robbie McGee is up running so high, they have had great fuel mileage also from Comtech engines. And that's why he's running there. But now the handling is, they've got the handling dialed in the first couple of pit stops. And Robbie McGee is actually closing in right here on Jimmy Vasser. Look for a pass.
McGee has indeed gotten good mileage. He was one of the last to pit on the first round of stops and also the second. And now he charges toward Jimmy Vasser but cannot pass as Eliseo Salazar up ahead tries to pass a slower car and unable to do so in the north end.
And we'll have another traffic situation giving us some passing opportunities here for the guys coming up on that slower traffic.
Well, timing of the traffic is just so critical. You just can't afford to get up behind them in the middle of the corner. You got to get a run on them on that exit.
And you have to be a little bit lucky too, because sometimes you can't let off and time it right because the guy behind you will pass you. So it's a matter of getting a little lucky on that.
Robbie McGee driving the Meyer Energizer Advanced Formula Mall.com G-Force.
Bob Jenkins, you mentioned Robbie McGee's fuel mileage. I talked to Skip Ball a moment ago. They feel like they're getting maybe the best fuel mileage of anyone in the top 5 or 6. They have gone 34 laps on their previous stop. And as Ari mentioned, they made an air pressure adjustment to fix a push in the car and a bit of a front wing change. And now Robbie has been told to simply ride and learn and save some fuel. This may be a really good day for Robbie McGee and Team Treadway.
Well, it's just about 4:30 Eastern Time. We welcome you to the Indianapolis 500. If you're just joining us, 88 laps are completed. I'm Bob Jenkins, along with former Indy 500 winners Tom Sneva and Arie Luyendyk. Juan Montoya is leading this race over his teammate Jimmy Vasser, with McGee, Dare, and Salazar the top 5. We have had a couple of crashes, one involving Greg Ray that has eliminated him from contention, and also the 2 women in the race, Lynn St. James and Sarah Fisher, were taken out in the same accident. Now again, we see McGee with a good run this time on Jimmy Vasser as they come down the front straightaway. Yeah. McGee is to the right and Vasser to the left, and coming down to the end of the straightaway, McGee gets the spot.
And Jimmy had to get out of the throttle big time coming out of turn 4, picked up a push from the car ahead of him.
Again, that dirty air we talk about, if you get up underneath them too tight, you lose that downforce in the front wings, and the car wants to go right to the wall.
And here's Dare moving past Donnie Beechler. Dare running in 4th place is just running great today, coming through past Donnie Beechler and Salazar following him through.
And that is a battle for position between Dare and Salazar for the 4th spot. Eliseo, who has run the fastest lap of the race so far, is closing in on the 4th place Dare.
Well, you can see where he started and where he's at now, Bob. This is a tremendous effort by a rookie driver.
And he showed really well in Vegas. He was leading the race before gearbox problems put him out of the race. But we've got the car champion in front, Rookie of the Year last year, Robbie McGee in 2nd place, Vasser 3rd, and Dare 4th. Great battles going on here.
Dare driving the Team Extreme USACredit.com, freeinternet.com G-Force, and is from Sao Paulo, Brazil, making his home in Miami right now, and certainly an impressive driver in the first 3 races of the year, and he's been very impressive here in his 4th race today at Indianapolis. In his previous performances, he's finished 11th at Orlando, 22nd at Phoenix, and 14th at Las Vegas, despite the gearbox problem that he experienced while leading.
So many talented
There's Dare signed a multi-year extension this week with Team Extreme, so obviously the team getting its money's worth today out of the 22-year-old. As you mentioned, he started on the outside row of row 7. That's all the way back in the 21st position, and you see he's made his way all the way up toward the front. A lot of smiles in the Team Extreme pit box.
So many talented drivers from Brazil and from South America for that matter. Montoya, now Dare, Salazar, one of them, and many more. Dare is actually closing in a little bit on Jimmy Vasser to take that 3rd place, so we keep an eye on that. Robbie McGee pulled away a little bit from Jimmy and is solid in 2nd place right now. And those guys of Treadway Racing have always had great fuel mileage. Comtech really doing a good job for them, and that could still be a key in this race.
On board with Buddy Lazier, and he tries to pass a slower car. Lazier is in 8th position.
Again, that's a pass in the short chute, Bob, and that's the short chute describes itself. It's a short amount of time, and that's a good handling car.
And it's a very short chute for an Indy car. It's a little bit longer than one of those Oldsmobiles we drove yesterday.
And we saw him
Buddy,
flexing his hands, yeah.
And Buddy always does that. You've got to relax out there. It's hard to relax at 220 miles an hour when you're in traffic. So anytime you get the opportunity, you try to flex the muscle.
That's Buzz Calkins that he is passing going into turn number 1, and Calkins driving the Team Can car is reported in 23rd position. Team Can standing for Cure Autism Now.
Buddy Lazier on his own, trying to close in on Teddy Cheever, who's ahead of him in 7th place. He's trailing him by about 2 seconds. There he is on your left-hand side of the picture. There's Eddie Cheever going through turn 4.
And again, some of these guys pitted under that yellow, so there's a lot of traffic in between them and the leader.
That is slowing down. Andy Hillenberg down the backstretch, the Indiana native who started in sprint cars not too far from here, winning track championships. He's been a stock car driver for the most part in his racing career, but he had the dream of racing at Indy, but he's on the warm-up lane and headed for the pit area. This is the Sumar Special presented by Irwindale Speedway. Hillenberg wanted so much to race at Indianapolis, I am told, that even on his wedding altar, he turned to his best man and said, "Boy, someday I sure hope to drive at Indianapolis."
To back of the car, Jimmy Vasser ahead of Alton Dare.
We go down to Leslie Goodell, who's with Sarah Fisher.
Obviously a very disappointing way to end this race. Sarah, can you talk about what happened out there?
Well, you know, I really don't know. It's all of a sudden it wound up 3 abreast. You know, I was going to the inside of turn 1 passing Lynn, and all of a sudden someone came on the inside, and I don't know. It just doesn't work when you're 3 abreast here. So, you know, the positive side is we're going to try and fix the car and get back out there in the race. I was having a great time before the crash, so, you know, everything was great. Meade and Cummins are hopefully happy, and we'll try and get back out there and run some more laps.
What did Derek Walker say to you?
Derek said to be calm and, you know, not to worry, because I always get down on myself, and he said to cheer up, that I had nowhere to go.
What's it like driving in your first Indy so far?
It's been wonderful. I had a great time. We love the attention that we've been getting as far as fans goes and media goes. It's great for everyone that's associated with us. It's great for our team. We're really happy about that.
What about the experience that you've gained from being out there in this short time?
There's a lot of things I learned here. I mean, the start is one piece of experience that you can't actually learn unless you do it. So we've been through that, and we've been through the first third of the race. So we've got a little bit of experience to gain for next year.
What was it like driving in the traffic out there, and was it what you expected?
Yeah, actually, at Las Vegas, when you get in a draft, you lose your front end, and the same holds true here. Indy's a hard place to pass on, and every little lap that you get to get a run on someone, it helps you learn. So all the experience, the better.
Was the start of the race what you actually expected, though, the very beginning?
A little bit, yeah. They said that the stands would be a lot more, you know, congested, and it would overwhelm me a little bit. But I think what really got it was how dirty the track was the first lap around. That's really what got my attention.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Bob?
Boy, some great battling going on out here as these cars approach slower traffic, and there is debris on the race course, and the caution comes out.
That yellow could have been for those three guys going
Well,
to turn three.
it should have been
while
for
we were
those
watching
things.
that.
But it was
Wow.
interesting. Sarah, on her education, 3 abreast into turn 1 is the ultimate in cramming for finals, Bob.
Boy, and she'll know that it just doesn't work. We saw her and Lynn eliminated in the same crash. More of the Indy 500 after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
Oh, look at this.
Buell stole it.
Well, it was tight coming out
Back
of the
at
pits.
Indianapolis, and you can see the rush off pit lane as pit stops have been made under this caution period for debris on the racetrack. Here's a replay of the stops as they occurred of the top 3 drivers with Montoya on top. Here comes Robbie McGee on the middle and Ayrton Dare on the bottom of your screen. Again, good work from the Chip Ganassi Target team. They get their driver out in 11.2 seconds. It took McGee 10.3 and Dare had a 12.1 second pit stop.
Well, it looked like Dare got off first, but Bob, his pit is a lot farther north in the pit area, so he stopped first, and that's why it looked like he got out first.
100 laps have been completed. We are at the halfway point, and when they come down to complete this lap, we will have an official race. Meanwhile, Vince is with Andy Hillenberg.
Well, it was a dream come true for Andy Hillenberg to run in this event, but it comes to a premature end.
Yeah, it does. Had a little problem there at the left rear wheel bearing or hub. I'm not sure yet. We're going to take it back to the garage and maybe fix it, but I kind of doubt it because we don't have any parts. My guys, I'd like to thank all of them for doing a super job this month. You know, I was a little slow getting going because I really didn't know what to expect, and we went a lap down there, and you know, it was pretty slow getting in and out of the pits. But on the racetrack, it was really cool. Starting to get the hang of this kind of racing, and maybe someday I'll get invited back to do it again.
It's been a great story. We hope to see you soon. Andy Hillenberg.
Thanks.
Jackaroo.
Well, let's tell you a little bit about what happened with Juan Montoya on that pit stop. They're very concerned in and out because he doesn't have the same sort of brakes as we get ready to go back to green. But when he started to pull back out, he was halted by Chip Ganassi because all of a sudden Eliseo Salazar was coming across his bow. Quick thinking by Ganassi avoided disaster on pit road.
The Team Purex car, driven by Robbie Buell, has gone behind the wall. As you can see, we are now at a complete race, 101 complete, and as they come down, they will take the green flag to complete lap number 102.
Again, with the pace car pulling off down between 1 and 2, it gives the leader an opportunity to accelerate quite early in the back to green lap, Bob.
Couple of lap cars are ahead of Juan Montoya as he takes the green flag and continues to be in the lead. He led 71 of the first 100 laps, Juan Montoya did. And here is the pit stop summary. McGee losing a couple of positions, Dare staying in third,
Look at
Vasser
Dare
picking up
coming,
2,
Bob.
and Dare is indeed on a run down the backstretch.
Dare challenging Jimmy Vasser here. Dare's car is handling very well in traffic, because you can see he stays very, very close to Jimmy Vasser through the turn, and that is a good sign for him because he has a great car. He's coming off of turn 4 pretty good here. He might pick up a draft and get by.
See him trying to get in that
This
draft.
car is running as well as it is because they took out 6 pounds of tire pressure already today and have made 3 full turns of front wing on both sides. So that gives you an indication this car was not good at the beginning of the race, but they've done a nice job of working with it to get it comfortable. And Ayrton Dare not driving this one like a rookie today.
Has a good run down the backstretch.
Well, 6 pounds of tire pressure might not sound a lot to some people, but that affects the spring rate of the car tremendously, and that should really soften up the front of the car to help bite the front tire.
Oh, by IndyCar standards, that is huge. I mean, 1 or 2 pounds makes a big difference on these cars, but Dare is just great in traffic.
Alonso Jr., as you saw in the upper right box, has climbed out of his car and has given up the pursuit. We're on board with Jeff Ward, who is running in 4th position, about 5 seconds behind Montoya. And still, Ayrton Dare pursues Jimmy Vasser for the 2nd position, but Dare has not found the opportunity to pass. And here comes Jeff Ward up to make that a 3-car battle for position.
Well, again, Darray's quick in the corners, but that might be because of the aero package. You might have a little more downforce in the car, gets him through the corner, but it hurts the straightaway speed, Bob, and that's maybe why he can't use the draft and get by.
I think that's exactly what's happening, Tom. And not far from these guys, of course, we have Ward there, but Buddy Lazier is closing in on them as well, as Salazar and Cheever. So we've got a great battle going on for third place and second place.
Good battle of second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth, but out front is Montoya, and he stretched his lead already to over 5 seconds over his teammate Jimmy
And one of the
Vasser.
problems that Vasser is having, guys, on that pit stop, they took the rear wicker out of the rear wing. All of a sudden, Jimmy gets on the radio and says, I can't drive this car.
Well, you know how it is, Jack. Small changes mean big results, and you take a little bit of rear wing out, you lose downforce, and when the car gets loose, the driver has to roll out of the throttle.
I think the problem for him is when he's going to approach traffic. That's when he'll notice that rear wicker being taken out of the rear wing. Right now on his own, he's pretty good.
Down to Jerry Punch, who's with Al Unser Jr.
Al, back at Indy. I know it was a short afternoon, but the excitement of just being back here and being able to come back to a place that you consider home.
Well, it was just great for us. You know, it's a shame that when Greg Ray hit the fence over there, some of the debris, I ran over it and punctured a hole in my radiator. We went back and fixed it, tried to get out there. We had 10 laps down, and just getting out there, I was in the way of everybody, and I felt it was real unsafe, so we don't have anybody to race, so might as well park it.
Being able to come back make you miss it that much more?
Oh yeah, we'll be back for sure. We'll be back with vengeance, and you know, this is the greatest place in the world. What can I say? I was going around on the pace laps talking with Tom, and it was just so great to be back. So with our new sponsors, tickets.com and Stars Encore, we'll be back.
Al Unser Jr. back in Indianapolis, still choked up even though he will not finish today.
And
Bob?
the man on the move is Jeff Ward, as he has gone around both Ayrton Darré and Jimmy Vasser, and now Ward is in second position, on board with Buddy Lazier, who's moved up to fourth, as Darré now begins to fade a bit. Here comes Eliseo Salazar up to challenge him now for the fifth position. But up front, it is all Juan Montoya, who has an 8.6 second advantage now on Jeff Ward. 108 laps completed in the 84th running of the Indianapolis 500. We'll be right back. The Budweiser blimp and its Eye in the Sky camera are proud to provide you with these live shots 1,000 feet above the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in the capital city of Indiana. Well, due to the length of this rain-delayed Indianapolis 500, the Snapple Superstars will not run today, but will be seen at a later date. Check your listings for that event. On the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, we have a good battle here going on for seventh position between Eddie Cheever and Robbie Gordon. Well, all day, Eddie Cheever has been dealing with a lot of traffic out there on the racetrack. And before the race began, we asked him, how do you deal with race traffic?
Well, try to not hit them. That's the biggest problem you have with the 500 is everybody's in such a tense state because they realize it's the most important race of the year, that there are periods of the race where everything gets kind of out of hand, and you've got to try to not get involved in it.
Eddie Cheever's Infinity Indy engine has held up well so far in the first 114 laps. He is in the 8th position, and here is Robbie Gordon looking to the inside of Darré, who is right behind Eliseo Salazar. So again, we've got a great battle here, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th, running right together on the racetrack.
Looks like Robbie Gordon has come alive. He's moving up the field here and dropped back a little bit with the pit stop situations, but now he's hunting these guys down. In front, Montoya is still leading by quite a bit. Pulling away now from Buddy Lazier, who passed Jeff Ward.
He's hunting them down. He's got a big bow to hunt him down with too. He's coming.
Four leaders so far in the Indianapolis 500. Montoya has led 86. Of the 116 laps, Ray has led 26 before he was eliminated. McGee has led 2 and Vasser 1. And by the way, McGee's car is faltering. He's back in 9th position but has fallen off the pace. Jack?
And Bob, the other car was running second for a while to his teammate Montoya. Jimmy Vasser, remember we told you that they took the wicker bill out? These are what we call wicker bills. They go on the rear wing. If you were with us during the rain delay, I showed you how you slide them in. With all the rubber and debris that's on the racetrack, the little groove on Jimmy Vasser's got so stuck up they could take the wicker out, but they couldn't put a new wicker in. That's why the car has become so loose.
Wow. AC Eddie Cheever has taken the position from Gordon, so Cheever now in the 7th position.
And in this group, there's Jimmy Vasser. He might be holding on to that car, but he's still holding off these guys right behind him. Eddie Cheever in the same group behind Darray, and then ahead of them is Salazar, and that guy in front is Jimmy Vasser.
Oh, look at this. Whoa, look 3 wide down to the first turn, and Darray gets both Salazar and Cheever.
Whoa.
Whoa.
There's an eyeful, I'll tell you.
Well, there's a couple of veterans getting through with one rookie, but they did great.
Wow. And now Darray with a good run on Vasser. Yeah, down the backstretch to see if he's able to make the pass. Indeed, Ayrton Darray goes to 4th spot.
And look at, or listen to Jimmy Vasser. He's just threading the throttle there, just being real gentle because his car is just not handling great. And look for Jimmy to be passed here by all these guys behind him.
Well, again, like I say, when he was leading, it wasn't nearly as serious. But once he gets in the middle of all that turbulent air, that car is really going to loosen up on him.
One thing we can see there is he is quick on the straightaway for not having that gurney flap in the rear wing. He really is a quick car down the straight and struggling a little bit through the turns.
Well, the new ABC innovation that we're showing you here in the Indianapolis 500, the track map will show you the interval of the top 3. Montoya with a good lead over Lazier, who's pursued by Ward. I'm Bob Jenkins with former Indy 500 winners Tom Sneva and Arie Luyendyk. We're 122 laps into the 200-lap Indianapolis 500. Juan Montoya is the leader. There are 8 cars on the lead lap. Buddy Lazier is running in 2nd position. We've had a couple of incidents on the racetrack. No injuries to this point. Both Lynn St. James and Sarah Fisher have been eliminated in the same crash. Let's check on the stories that we came on the air with. The Battle of the Champions, well, Greg Ray was one of those involved in an incident. He's out of the race, and Montoya leads. Al Unser Jr., we saw him drop out of the race a few minutes ago. Sarah Fisher, currently 31st. They're working on her car. A.J. Foyt has a good race going with his 3 drivers. They're 3rd, 6th, and 17th. And again, the gearbox problem has not been that serious a problem to this point. The fastest car on the racetrack is Eddie Cheever, or among the fastest. He has moved up to 5th position now.
Eddie Cheever passed 3 cars in the last couple of laps while we were on commercial break, and it's just on a tear. And he's really happy with his car. He radioed in that he's really happy with the handling. He's got it dialed in, and let's look for him on the next pit stop. Let's see if he does make any changes or not.
Well, I'd say Montoya ain't real upset with his car either.
Leslie Goodell is with Richie Hearn, who's dropped out.
Richie Hearn is done for the day after having problems with his car. Talk about what happened.
Oh, really, I don't know. We, after that one long yellow we had, I just went to go, and it didn't want to go. It was running pretty good up to that point. I messed up my first pit stop, but the car was really easy to drive and pretty good in traffic, and so I wasn't too bad. I wasn't too worried about getting my lap back, but I don't know. We changed everything, and I don't know. The valve spring must have broke or something like that. But I'd like to thank all the guys from Pagan Racing and who gave me a chance here to run here this year, and Walker Racing for helping me out, and Net Zero, Curb Records, and Petromali for putting together this program, and we'll try again next year.
Thanks a lot. An update on Robbie Buell. He is out of his car. They're trying to fix the gearbox, but hoping to get back out. He is the IRL points leader. They'd like to get back on the track. Jerry Punch?
Well, the news is not good, especially at all for Robbie McGee and Team Treadway. When he pitted on lap 99, he was in 2nd spot, and now he is trying to hang on to 9th position. They have a motor problem, an engine problem brewing. When he went back on the racetrack, the engine would not come up to speed. He has now lost 200 RPMs.
And a problem here on the main straightaway, a car smoking. It appears as if it's Darray. And indeed it is. The car smoking. I don't know whether he's had contact with the wall or just an engine problem. Doesn't look like the car is damaged in any way. But boy, a tough break for Ayrton Daré, who was running right up there at the front.
And you could see him. He was really mad. He was beating on the steering wheel. He was so happy with what was going on.
Slow it down. Just put it down there and park it. Park it at the pits.
They were giving him instructions.
Oh, and you can see how frustrated he is.
South American temper. He's really mad about the situation. But that's racing. They blow up, they break, and sometimes they stay in one piece, eh, Tom?
Yeah, fortunately, he was able to get it down, and there's a lot of oil there, so he did a good job of getting it out of everybody's way and not causing anybody else a problem.
He was also very lucky that it didn't happen right in the middle of the turn and spinning out on his own oil.
Well, he wasn't far from that position when it did happen.
Only 21 years of age, and Ayrton Daré has had an impressive debut here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Juan Montoya leads under caution. We remain under caution here at the 84th running of the Indy 500, and during this caution we had again pit stops. Juan Montoya, watch him in the middle. The crew will just do an outstanding job. The Target Chip Ganassi team get him out in a little over 7 seconds. 7.6, and he's out. Jeff Ward at the top and Buddy Lazier. Buddy Lazier took 10.6 and Ward 10.1 seconds. Well, we go back to Al Michaels for his perspective.
Okay, Bob, still under the yellow right now, and an interesting situation shaping up in as much as Juan Montoya was a man who was a rookie last year on the championship auto racing circuit. Wound up winning 7 races, was not only the rookie of the year, but he was the champion. And then there was some doubt as to whether he would ever run at Indy because of the split between CART and the IRL, something that racing fans, I think, gotten very sick of hearing about. But there seems to be some sort of conciliation. There have been attempts at mediation. The two sides, I don't want to say, are necessarily very close to getting together, but much closer than they have been in the last few years. And wouldn't that be something if Juan Montoya comes over and wins the Indianapolis 500? The other interesting things, I think, right now involving this race are the fact that you have a couple of fellows who have won the race in Buddy Lazier and in Eddie Cheever, who are in the top 4 right now, so they seek to win a second Indianapolis 500. And the multiple winners, of course, of this race are the legendary names, people like A.J. Foyt, who won it 4 times, Al Unser Jr., who won it 4 times, and, of course, our colleague, Arie Luyendyk, was a 2-time winner, as we go back to Bob Jenkins.
Green flag is about a half a lap away now. Montoya continues to lead. This caution is because Ayrton Daré apparently had an engine problem. And right behind Montoya is Jeff Ward, running for A.J. Foyt and the Harris A.J. Foyt force. And they get ready for the restart. Pace begins to quicken up just a little bit, and the green is out. We're back racing at Indianapolis. A couple of lap cars ahead of Montoya, but he makes quick work of them as he heads for turn 1.
And that's what he really wanted to do right there, because Jeff Ward, he knew he was behind him, and he figured if I can get past those back markers, give me some breathing room.
Well, look at Ward. Ward had to make a pass on the short shoot. Johnny Unser was on the outside there, but Ward was able to get the job done.
Down to Jack Arute.
Fellow South American, as you watch our Ayrton Daré, as you watch your fellow South American from Colombia, how disappointed are you?
Second time in a row, we're leading in Las Vegas and we broke the gearbox. Now we're running good. My car had one of the best cars in the field, and we're gonna go for the front. I mean, again, now is the motor that blew up, but it's really disappointing.
This is the heartbreak, Leslie Goodell, of the Indianapolis 500. It's right on Ayrton Daré's face.
Robbie Buell's feeling the same kind of heartbreak right now. A few minutes ago, you thought you were going to get back in the race, but it was just a gearbox problem, but it's something else. What is it?
Yeah, no, it's motor related. Not sure what it is, but it's not a quick fix, unfortunately. So it's pretty frustrating for the whole Purex crew. You know, we had high hopes here, and it's really frustrating.
The race was obviously going very smoothly for the first 66 laps for everybody out there, and suddenly everything changed.
Yeah, no, we were happy with the car, and we were just going to keep adjusting it through the pit stops. And then that pit stop, something broke. So
unfortunate. Robbie Buell, the IRL points leader coming into this race, Bob, so obviously a very big disappointment.
And a good battle for second position on the racetrack. We're on board with Buddy Lazier, who's third, but he is pursuing Jeff Ward. And Jerry Punch, what's wrong with Cheever?
Eddie Cheever radioed in, said the gearbox may be gone. I've got a bad vibration. Owen Snyder said, try to get it back in here. Eddie said, I may try to ride it out, but it's getting worse. The vibration is very bad. Eddie said, it is the gearbox. That was a big concern today for a number of teams.
And Buddy Lazier has taken second spot from Jeff Ward in turn number 3.
His next target right now is the leader, Montoya. Montoya leading by about 2 seconds over Buddy Lazier, but there's a lot of traffic ahead of Buddy Lazier that will cost him some time. Once he gets through that traffic, then he can set his sights on Montoya.
And it has been all Juan Montoya so far in this race, except for the first 26 laps when Greg Ray led the race. There are the rookies and where they stand. Jason Leffler is the second best rookie, 15th. Lazier 18th. Hornish 19th. Darre just dropped out in 23rd. Hillenberg is out in 28th. And Fisher was eliminated earlier, and she will finish in the 31st position. As far as rookie winners here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, it hasn't happened since Graham Hill came here and won as a rookie in 1966. We may have a situation this year in which a rookie wins the race.
Good job, Jimmy. Good job. -9 to the leader.
Well, if Montoya keeps running this strong, I think we're going to have some green light specials at those Target stores, not blue light specials, Bob.
He is just doing a terrific job. There is Robbie Gordon, who is running in 5th position.
Robbie Gordon pursuing Jimmy Vasser. Jimmy Vasser looks like he's going a little bit better than earlier. They must have gotten him a goodie flat back in that rear wing, so the car is handling a little bit better through the turns for him.
Vasser running 4th and Gordon in 5th position. Montoya, by the way, has led for 255 consecutive miles. He has a 4-second lead on Buddy Lazier. Coverage of the 84th running of the Indianapolis 500 will continue after this word from our ABC stations. Welcome back to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. 137 laps are now completed, and we go to Jackaroo.
Well, Larry Leyendyke, you surmised that maybe the way Vasser is running, that they got that wicker bill back in. Indeed, they did. In the meantime, they also cleaned the channel out. So if they have to make another wicker bill change, it should slide in a lot easier. Jerry?
And Jackaroo, Eddie Cheever's pits up here. They're able to smile a little bit now. He said the vibration he had in the gearbox a moment ago was bad in 4th, even worse in 5th. But when he shifted to 6th gear, it has gone away, at least momentarily. They had their fingers crossed that Eddie can finish the last 62 laps.
Salazar there sneaking up on Gordon in the battle for the 5th position. Gordon is 5th and Salazar right there in the 6th position. And Eliseo has had a terrific race today. ABC Sports is the place for great racing action next Sunday. It's the Miller 225 live from the Milwaukee Mile. Don't miss it next Sunday at 4 o'clock Eastern Time here on ABC.
Salazar and Jeff Ward, both driving for A.J. Foyt, are really hooked up today. Salazar here following Robbie Gordon and Jimmy Vasser have run strong all day.
Well, they're going to need a hook and try to hook on to Montoya if they're going to have any shot for this victory.
Billy Boat, A.J. Foyt's 3rd driver, is shown back in 16th position, 2 laps down. We have 7 cars on the lead lap.
And they're all running pretty close together, starting from 3rd place or 4th place all the way through 7th place in the Cheever.
Well, there's some really good racing going on out there. It's just Montoya hasn't been in the mix. He's been ahead of the mix.
Every time we've had a restart, he's been able to separate himself from the rest of the pack and leave the battling to those behind him.
What has been happening is Montoya has been putting a lot of lap cars in between him and his pursuers. And his pursuers have to get around these back markers in order to go after him. And then every time he breaks away.
And Greg Ray is back on the racetrack. Remember, he hit the wall a little bit earlier in turn number 2 and damaged the right front suspension, but they have repaired it, and he comes back in competition. And here's the wheel-to-wheel battle down the main straightaway as Eliseo Salazar passes Robbie Gordon and takes 5th position.
And we saw Robbie Gordon moving his hand in the cockpit.
Well,
and we don't know what that was all about.
Well, that's called intimidation, but Salazar was taking it all and maybe giving back a little.
And now he's passing Jimmy Vasser, just blowing right by him on the backstretch.
Yes, indeed.
Salazar moves up to 4th place.
Well, Leslie Goodell has an update on Sarah Fisher.
Bob, unfortunately, Sarah Fisher is done for the day. Too much damage to the suspension of both the front and the rear, so she is out of the race. But I was asking what it was like and what she actually learned in her first Indy 500. She said after hearing so much about it, what it's like to race in the Indy 500, she's glad she actually got to find out for herself.
Vasser repasses Salazar, and the battle continues.
Well, Salazar really got held up there by, looked like Johnny Unser, but really got held up and gave Vasser a chance to get that run.
Right now it looks like Robbie Gordon is getting held by Johnny Unser as well.
Juan Montoya leads at the Indianapolis 500 with 142 laps completed. Buddy Lazier 3.5 seconds behind. The 5th caution of the race is out. The pits are closed. That red flag with the yellow cross indicates the pits are closed. It's Greg Ray once again. He's hit the wall again out in turn number 2 again. And here's a replay of what happened with Greg.
Well, again, the car just pushed. He wasn't even close to the groove. It didn't want to turn at all. Well, look at it. Even before he got to the corner, the thing was up into the gray, Bob. And again, this is one of the problems when you go in and try to fix a car that smacked the wall already once today. It's tough. You're in a hurry. A lot of times you don't catch everything, and that can be the result.
It looked to me that coming out of turn 1, the car never wanted to turn anymore for turn 2. I don't think they really fixed the car for him. I don't think it even turned.
Yeah, they didn't catch all the problems they had.
Lucky to not go in head on.
Now the pits are open, and here they come. Montoya, Lazier, Ward, Salazar, and Vasser are your top 5, and here they come toward their respective pit boxes.
Okay, just past Jimmy's guys. Just past Jimmy's guys. Slow down. Slow down. Slow down. Slow down. Slow down.
That is Chip Ganassi talking to Juan Montoya as he comes to pit road. They asked him if he wanted any changes. He said no.
Tires are on. You ready? Set. Go, 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 go. Okay,
8.3 seconds, guys. I'll tell you what, Team Ganassi has been outstanding on every pit stop today. That could be the difference, as you and Tom, Ari Lyondike, alluded to at the top of the show. The pit stops and the strategy, you got to get in quick and get out.
You know what's really amazing, Jack, is the fact that yesterday at Nazareth, the crew wasn't that good in the pits. He lost positions in the pits. Yesterday, he's racing Nazareth, and today they've just been outstanding.
And Montoya leads under caution here at Indy. Thank you, Robin. Still under caution here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And let's show you a race recap now. Juan Montoya has led for 119 laps. The green race average over 209 miles an hour. We've had 4 leaders and 4 lead changes, and this is the 5th caution that has slowed the race for 22 laps. And there are the drivers who have dropped out of competition for one reason or another. Ayrton Darrowy was running right up there in the top of the field when he dropped out. Robbie Buell, who is the current Indy Racing Northern Light Series points leader coming into this event, also is out of the race, and so are Lynn St. James. And Greg Ray was the reason for this most recent caution as he hit the wall for the 2nd time out in turn number 2. Well, speaking of hitting the wall, there is a report that Buddy Lazier may have clipped the outside wall rather, as he exited pit road. He thinks he did, but our video really doesn't say so. He thinks he hit it with the right rear, but it really doesn't look that way.
Well, you could hear the motor rev up a little bit, Bob, as he got back in the throttle, and he might have knocked the rear end loose a little bit, accelerating out of the pits.
Just a little tight here.
Dismore.
No, not even close. Did not hit it. Jerry?
Well, down on the Buddy Lazier pit with Dennis LaCava, chief mechanic. Dennis, we just showed a replay so that he did not touch the wall. I guess he thought he hit the wall exiting the pits, but that was very, very close. So he was concerned about maybe the right rear of the car.
Yeah, he had radioed in and said that he thought he hit the wall. It gets very congested down there, and he was trying to get around somebody, and he radioed in and said he hit the wall. I'm glad for you to tell me that he didn't, because that's good news for us.
So Buddy Lazier dodges a bullet. Jackaroot?
Yeah, Jerry, it's about time to see just exactly what's going to happen on strategy for more pit stops. Chip Ganassi, one more stop for your crew?
Yeah, it'll be one more stop, Jack. They need about 20 gallons.
And how close will you go? Will you pit early or pit late?
Jack, I can't tell you that.
Vince?
A.J. Foyt during that last pit stop for Jeff Ward was upset with the jackman Brett Barnhart. While the wing was being adjusted, the car was kept up on the jack until after the adjustment was made. A.J. felt as if the car could have been dropped off the jack. They could have saved some time getting out of the pit stop, because Juan Montoya's stops have been perfect. You got to take advantage of every second.
Well, Floyd's drivers are doing well in second, fourth, and Billy Vogt in 17th position. Pace cars off the racetrack. There are a couple of lap cars ahead of the leader, Juan Montoya, including Robbie McGee there.
Well, Bob, as you know, every once in a while AJ will wake up on the wrong side of the carburetor, so who knows what might happen here.
Talking about Buddy Lazier, when he left the pits there's a pavement change, and right there it's a little bumpy, and the car jumped a little sideways on it, and I think that's when he thought that he might have just glanced against the wall. But no problem there, and Buddy was charging before that last yellow, so look for him on the move. And here's Jeff Ward challenging Montoya.
Yeah, he's keeping up with Juan at least as the green flag comes out, and we are back to racing, but so is Buddy Lazier, and Lazier goes outside of Jeff Ward. And at the end of the straightaway, Buddy Lazier goes to second position, and now he sets his sights on the leader, Juan Montoya.
Well, that was a great move, and if he had any concern about touching the wall, he didn't show it there, Bob.
He was closer to that wall than he was to the pit wall before, so he's going to charge now because he has the leader in sight.
Leslie Goodell is with Greg Ray.
Well, the good news is Greg Ray is okay. The bad news is you're out of the race. Can you talk about what happened?
Yeah, well, it's unfortunate. You know, we had a good car at the beginning part of the race, and but we just couldn't pull the gears in traffic. We could run fast by ourselves, but on traffic, so we tried taking some downforce out of the car, and we took a little too much, I think, and with the tailwind blowing into two, the wind just pushed me over to the wall the first time, and we lost so many laps. The guys worked hard. We're trying to get some points for the championship, and I mean, God gives everybody instincts, and I probably should have listened to mine and not climbed back in that car, but the guys worked hard to get the car going, and the car wasn't just right. It wouldn't turn very well, and I was just really trying to come in. After I went through turn one, the car wouldn't turn, and so I was just trying to come in. I saw a big group of cars coming behind me, just trying to get out of their way, and the car wouldn't turn at all, so I don't know if something broke, if I was just in the gray, and it's another bad day at the office.
It's not supposed to happen this way when you start from the pole, but this is the Indy 500, Bob.
Greg Ray is the fourth pole sitter to finish last in an Indy 500. The last to do that before today was Roberto Guerrero in 1992. There is Juan Montoya, 1.8 seconds behind is Lazier, and Montoya has broken the record for consecutive laps led by a rookie.
And Bob, we made a little light with Chip Ganassi about whether he will pit early or pit late, but they're going to have to play that one close to the vest. And really, I believe guys will be dependent on how well the 91 of Lazier closes.
Well, right now it's a 1.8 seconds separation between Montoya and Lazier. More of the Indianapolis 500 when we return. 152 laps completed. Welcome back to the Indianapolis 500. Bob Jenkins here with the broadcast booth with 156 laps completed. We're watching the battle here between Jimmy Vasser and Eddie Cheever for the 5th position. And there is Vasser in the red car and pursued closely. In fact, Cheever gets a great run off the corner, and he's going to dispose of Vasser down the front stretch.
Yeah, Jimmy got a little bit held up by Scott Goodyear ahead of him. And Eddie just took it right away.
Over here to the base.
And a car in trouble. That is Sam Hornish.
That's going to be a short yellow for us because he didn't really have that much of an impact. He just glazed the wall a little bit, grazed it.
Well, Sam Hornish was having a good run in 19th position, 4 laps down, but it brings out our 6th caution of the day. It really doesn't look like the car's damaged all that much, but Hornish begins to unbuckle. Well, if you're enjoying what you're seeing here at the Indianapolis 500, this is part of the Indy Racing Northern Lights Series. Here is a replay of what happened as Hornish just got the car sideways, looks like.
The back end stepped out on him a little bit. He's in some traffic, but
Real
really
light contact.
real fortunate he didn't hit any harder than that when you lose it coming off the corner.
Sam Hornish, a rookie here at the Indianapolis 500. Here are the other races on the schedule. ESPN will have the June 10th race at Fort Worth. We'll be back at Pikes Peak and also the late race at Fort Worth, Texas. Back in just a moment. On board here at the Indianapolis 500, the Delphi Automotive Systems MCI WorldCom Dallara, driven by Scott Sharp, who finds himself a lap down in 8th position. We're just about ready to go back to green from our 6th caution of the afternoon.
Well, we got an interesting situation, Bob. I don't think many of these guys can go to the finish without stopping one more time. Vasser stopped here. He's one of the leaders. If they get enough yellows, Vasser might be able to go the distance.
When we come down and get the green flag on lap 162, last year, Robbie Gordon pitted on lap 158. Pitted on 164 and ran out of fuel with a lap to go, as we all remember. All right, here is Buddy Lazier now staying right in the tracks of Juan Montoya. This is the best challenge that Montoya has had all day from Buddy Lazier. Now, let's go down to our 3 pit reporters and get updates on the first 3, Montoya, Lazier, and Ward. Here's Jack.
Well, Bob, we told you a couple of laps ago that they're going to have to pit one more time for the leader. Whether they pit early and run the fuel down or pit late and just do a splash and go, that remains to be seen. Why? Because this man, Chip Ganassi, knows that the rest of the competition are monitoring his radios. And Buddy Lazier goes to the inside, Bob.
Couldn't take the pass, though, as Montoya holds the lead, but Lazier is right in his tracks. We'll keep an eye on it as we go to Jerry Punch.
Good job, good job.
A moment ago, guys, Buddy Lazier said, should I save my tires or should I go get him? The crew said, go get him. We don't know what the weather's going to do. Bobby's going to go after him.
I'll tell you what. Buddy Lazier moved up a gear. He shifted up a gear as they came down the front straight. Now he's in 6th gear in the draft of Montoya. To me, it looks like Buddy Lazier has the legs on Montoya on the straightaway, and I think this is the time here we're going to see it.
Well, let's watch closely.
Again, I'm not sure it's the legs, it's the draft. These motors this year, Bob, are a little bit smaller. Because of that, they are really affecting the draft a lot more. They got less horsepower, so any help they can get with the draft really shows up to the driver.
And that's why he has to go up to 6th gear in order not to get on the rev limiter, because he picks up a few hundred revs in the draft.
We'll do an at the line this time to find out just exactly how fast they're going. They come off corner number 4 and complete lap number 164.
At the line, they're pretty close.
2:15.9 second. Fastest car on the racetrack is Eddie Cheever, back in the 5th spot. And 3rd quick is Jeff Ward. Buddy Lazier in the Delta Faucet Coors Light Tybo Dallara, just a few car lengths behind Juan Montoya, who has for the most part dominated this 84th running of the Indy 500.
Well, the top 5 cars, Bob, are all running in the 215 mile per hour range. So all 5 of the top 5 are very close.
And that was a decision that was made during Carburation Day. Everybody thought that the lap speeds for race time would be about 2:13. But then at Carburation Day, Juan Montoya, Jimmy Vasser, and a bunch of guys escalated. Everybody changed gears, figuring it would take this to run up front.
And right now, Montoya leading this race has no bad air in front of him. Remember that Buddy Lazier is behind Montoya and driving in his bad air, upsetting his car a little bit. If Montoya gets held up a little bit by a back marker, then Buddy Lazier can pounce and get by.
And that's why we see Buddy able to catch him, Bob, but he can't get by. He gets close enough, he gets in the turbulent air, and then he starts to lose the front end, and he's got to back off. So it's a real tough situation where a driver's got to time it just right.
I think I would go maybe to the...
Chip Ganassi was saying take some wicker out on the next stop in order to get some more straight line speed. and I couldn't really understand what Juan was saying back with his heavy accent.
Speaking of heavy accent.
He's got a lot of heavy accent than I have, Tom. Especially on that radio.
Juan Montoya started from the second position. Back in 1969, Mario Andretti won the Indianapolis 500 from the second starting spot. Well, let's go to Vince Welch, who has an update on our third place runner, Eliseo Salazar.
The two cars for A.J. Boyd, third and fourth, Eliseo Salazar and Jeff Ward, both have to make another pit stop, as you would expect. They have a window of about lap 175. Salazar 2 seconds behind the leader, Ward 3 seconds behind the leader. But where they've lost some time today has been in the pit stops. They'll try to be quicker next time around. That could be the difference.
And Salazar has been moving just a little bit closer towards the two leaders by 1/10 of a second on the last lap around, but he's in the same frame of picture.
Jerry Punch has more on Buddy Lazier.
Well, like the other two you just heard a moment ago, Lazier will have to make one more pit stop. His window opens up the next time by. If we would have a yellow, he could make the stop and make it the rest of the way. They will pit somewhere around 175 to 178 for their final pit stop of the day. Buddy right now saving the tires a little bit for that final run when he'll go after Juan Montoya.
They come up on Robbie McGee, who has dropped off the pace after a good run in the early going of the race, but he's dropped back to 22nd position, losing laps. And now, once again, we see Lazier flexing the hands.
And I was just going to say before they came up on Robbie McGee got out of the way, great for Montoya, but couldn't get out of the way for Lazier. And you can't just disappear in thin air because you're going slower. So it was a little bit of a problem for Buddy, cost him some time on the racetrack.
Well, it really did. It was just very unfortunate. Buddy just happened to catch him at the exact wrong spot on the racetrack.
And if that happens on the last lap or the second to next last lap, that's when you really get mad. But it can happen, and those guys can't just disappear.
And now Salazar begins to close in on second place Buddy Lazier. A good battle up front at the 84th Indianapolis 500. More after this from our ABC stations. The Indianapolis 500 has less than 30 laps to go. Juan Montoya has a 2.5 second lead now over Buddy Lazier. And the most recent observation from the spotters in turn number 2, it's beginning to sprinkle a little bit. Let's hope that the rain stays away and we can run these last 29 laps and see who wins the Indianapolis 500. The Stanley Cup coverage begins Tuesday on ESPN at 8 o'clock. Second game is Thursday on ESPN, and then next Saturday night at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, ABC will have the third game of the New Jersey Devils and the Dallas Stars' quest for the Stanley Cup.
Salazar takes second from Buddy Lazier.
Wow, good move by Salazar. He just caught Buddy down the back straightaway with a little draft help.
And Jack Arute has an update on Juan Montoya, who now strings it out once again, Jack.
Yeah, and I want to show you, I think I have discovered what the tactics and the strategy will be. If you look over here on the fuel gauge, there's how much fuel he has. Here's the level that they want to go to on the next stop. Now the question is, we have a little stick over here. You know what we do with sticks? Generally, it means it's a timed stop. It could be a gas and go, even though they only use methanol.
And that second place again was a traffic situation coming off on the slower car there. Buddy Lazier just got boxed in a little bit, and we have a yellow.
The yellow is on. Stan Waddles is smoking, and Stan has had a pretty decent afternoon. He's 16th, a couple of laps down, but it appears to be maybe all over for Stan Waddles, the driver from Florida who's driving the Himmelgarn Metro Racing Dallara.
Well, he has had a good day, Bob. He's actually quicker in turn 4 than anybody throughout the day.
Stan
Information.
Wallace.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ari.
Stan Wallace was running in 6th place, 2 laps off the pace. And it's not going to be a long yellow if he didn't spill too much fluid on the racetrack. He's going to bring it into the pit soon.
And he has one of the fastest laps of the race. At least information supplied to us earlier by IRL Timing and Scoring had Stan at the top of the chart as far as fastest lap of the day.
Well, fuel mileage is not going to be an issue now for the rest of this race. They're all pit now, and they'll have plenty of fuel to go the distance, Bob.
It'll be very critical, as you gentlemen indicated at the very start of the Indianapolis 500. Pit work is so important. Getting your driver out first, because often it is a move or good work in pit lane that gets you in front and keeps you there.
This caution has also allowed Ganassi to adjust the amount of fuel he'll have to take on board. They were going to change the wicker bill, but after the problems that Vasser, his teammate, encountered, Chip Ganassi radioed to Juan Montoya, no, instead, we will make an adjustment with the front wing. So as he pulls onto pit road and into his pit box, you can watch the story unfold.
Okay,
as we watch and listen.
Half a turn of front wing, correct? Half a turn. I hope he doesn't make it too loose, but we need to try. 10-4, we'll give you less than a half. Just a scotch.
Well, you hear it. They're talking about how much front wing to put in. Juan was worried about not making it too loose. Drivers don't like loose race cars, even when you're a brave rookie, Bob.
Here they come. Down for what should be their final pit stop. Buddy Lazier tries first.
Same thing with Buddy Lazier up here. He's complained of a push with his car. They should make a slight adjustment. Dennis LaCava comes across, adds a little bit of front wing, 4 tires, full of fuel. Lazier is away.
Didn't beat it.
And Salazar smokes the tires as he storms out of pit lane, getting out ahead of Buddy Lazier.
Well, you saw Salazar get that thing sideways. He was gassing it.
Bob, that was not the pit stop that they wanted, though. They were much slower than Juan Montoya, who had come in right behind them. They needed a faster stop, they believed, to win this race, and they didn't get it.
It might be, I saw that Jeff Ward might have beaten Buddy Lazier out of the pit just by a few feet, but Buddy had more speed coming down the pit lane. Jeff Ward being pitted right at the front of the pit lane. As soon as he accelerates, I think he crossed the line before Buddy did, and the IRL can correct that.
Well, save it on this yellow till it goes green, then go back to where you were running.
All I need to know, Robbie, is when it goes green, Montoya just starts to check.
Well, we actually have Bosell between the 2 leaders. Now, Raul started in the back, but he's actually been running pretty fast. He's just had a bad traffic situation by his starting position.
Let's go.
Robbie McGee is on pit lane, and there is Jimmy Vasser in 7th position. Well, Saturday, international soccer comes to ABC as Casey Keller and a powerful U.S. team take on the South Africans in the first round of the U.S. Cup play from RFK Stadium. The USA versus South Africa soccer, 4 o'clock Eastern on ABC. Flying high above the Indianapolis Motor Speedway is the Bud 1 airship. To all racing fans, this Bud's for you. Well, Jimmy Vasser has decided not to make a pit stop.
And Bob, that was by design. Remember, Vasser is out of sequence right now. He pitted earlier, and this is what Chip Ganassi likes to do now and again. Take one team and work it one way, take another team and work it the other.
Nice, smooth, easy build-up. You know how to do it.
With 40 laps to go, it was Vasser who came in the pit the last time. And all these laps on the yellow, they get about 8 to 10 miles per gallon. So they're stretching the fuel big time now, and we could see the same situation with Vasser develop as happened last year with Gordon, that maybe he can just make it to the end. This is exciting stuff.
Well, it's going to be real close. I think he's maybe going to need another yellow situation to get there, but it's Indianapolis. Who knows what might happen?
And
These guys have been racing hard.
And Tom, Jimmy Vasser was very upset. He did not want to come in, and when they called him in early, so he's not happy with Anderson's decision.
Well, Jimmy Vasser stands on the throttle and picks up the pace as the green flag is about to come back out here at Indianapolis. Jimmy Vasser is the leader. Montoya is second. And look at the scramble back there again. 4 wide as Buddy Lazier shakes his fist at Eliseo Salazar, unable to take that spot. There's Jeff Ward on the right.
Both Boyd cars are racing each other, and Buddy sort of got caught out by it.
Well, Salazar has done this in the past. One time I remember to David Jones putting him on the inside wall on the front straightaway. He almost did it to Buddy here, and that's why Buddy was upset, waving his fist.
Well, they're both racing. I mean, they're all racing for a victory at Indy, and a lot of things can happen.
Yeah, you don't give it up easy. You don't just say, well, after you, buddy, because right now nobody is anybody's buddy out there.
There's give and take early in the race, Ari, like you know, but late in the race there ain't nearly as much give and take.
With 23 laps to go, you're not going to make any friends here at the end.
On board with 5th place, Buddy Lazier. He has a bead on Jeff Ward. A good run down the front stretch is, yes, Lazier takes that spot from Jeff Ward and moves to 4th spot.
He's talking about how the car is handling, but right now the cars are on cold tires. They have fuel in it, and give it a few more laps to know what the car exactly is doing. Both target cars in the front.
Vasser is first. There is Juan Montoya as he closes in on Jimmy Vasser, who again did not pit under this most recent caution.
Well, and Vasser has a lot less fuel in the car, so he should actually be a little bit quicker. Montoya,
right with you,
he can do it all with full fuel or no fuel. He's fast.
Montoya faster on that lap than Vasser. In fact, he was faster than a couple of other cars. Let's see what he does here. Montoya's right on that rear wing of Vasser as they go into turn 2 and down the backstretch. And now here is Montoya making the move at the end of the backstretch, and Montoya takes the lead from Jimmy Vasser.
Well, you heard him on the radio. He said the car was loose. Now that problem can get worse as the laps go down. We'll have to wait and see what happens.
Well, the leader at lap 180 has failed to win 7 of the last 8 Indianapolis 500-mile races. That is an amazing statistic, but that is the way it's occurred. There is Eliseo Salazar, who finds himself in 3rd position now. Right behind him is Buddy Lazier.
And again, every time we see it on the restarts is where Montoya just really goes for it. He really gets out there on cold tires and drives really hard, and we saw a 4-mile-an-hour difference in lap time between him and the competition, and it's costing these guys dearly now. Buddy Lazier, you can hear he lifted off the throttle there. Yeah. He has a push coming off of 4. He can't really attack as he did earlier in the race.
Well, you can see with his left hand he's moving the weight jacker. He's trying to correct that push problem, Ari, by turning weight to the left front of the car.
But he doesn't seem to be as strong as he was when he was trailing Montoya by a second and actually closing in on him. On this particular stint, you know, with a different set of tires, he doesn't have the same car he had earlier, and that can happen here quite a bit.
Well, really, the only question mark really now is they did a timed fuel stop. Did they get enough fuel in the car to go the distance? I think that would be Juan's only concern right now.
And Tom, that was exactly what Juan asked Chip Ganassi before they went back to green. Ganassi said, of course. We got enough in. Don't worry about it.
Now here is Eliseo Salazar taking 2nd place from Vasser.
That was Mark Dismore in front of...
Well, again, the traffic's serious. There's a lot of fast cars out there. Some of them might be a lap down, but they're all running very close to the same speeds.
And Jeff Ward now. That's Mark Dismore on the left as Ward finds himself in the 5th spot.
Vasser still. Oh, that's too close. That's too close. Eddie Cheever and Robbie Gordon.
Man,
Robbie never gave up. I mean, he on the outside. Now that's tough to get away with.
No friends there.
Yeah, that was good racing.
Vasser maintains his position in 2nd spot. Eddie Cheever crosses the line 9.9 seconds behind the leader Montoya. Team Target Ganassi running 1st and 2nd. Only 4 times have team cars finished 1-2 in the Indy 500. Fred Treadway did it in 97 with Ari Leyendyk and Scott Goodyear.
Well, we know for a fact, Bob, a lot of times they tell the driver what they think he wants to hear and not necessarily the facts. They told Robbie Gordon last year he had plenty of fuel to go, and it turned out not to be the case.
Montoya is still stretching his lead a little bit over Vasser, 3.58 seconds ahead of his teammate. Salazar 6 seconds behind Montoya. These two guys are racing each other, but in front of them is Mark Dismore, who's a lap down. And he's not really in their way, but he's maybe just slowing them down a tad and kind of getting in the way of that battle.
The battle for 6th position. Robbie Gordon holds 6th, and Eddie Cheever pursuing in the 7th position. Both of these drivers about 10.5 seconds behind the leader of the race, Montoya, who continues to stretch out the advantage. It's now 4.3 seconds over his teammate Jimmy Vasser and 6.5 seconds over third place Eliseo Salazar. Look how much faster he is, 2:17.3 the last lap. And Jeff Ward was the second quickest that last time around. It's just about 6 o'clock on the East Coast. And here is Buddy Lazier taking the spot from Salazar, so move Lazier up to third once again. We have 15 laps to go in the rain-delayed Indianapolis 500. Juan Montoya leads his teammate Jimmy Vasser. Only 4 leaders so far today. Montoya has led 153 of the 186 laps that we have run. Greg Ray, the defending Indy Racing Northern Light Series champion, has led the second most number of laps, 26, but he crashed twice in this race and is out of competition. Jimmy Vasser has led 5, and Robbie McGee, the only other leader, he has been in front for 2 circuits.
Well, Lazier and Salazar, they got a good chance to catch Vasser, but I don't know if they got anything for Montoya.
That's right, and here we see Jason Leffer in front of Buddy this year, and he's not holding him up. We can see Salazar is not really getting closer. He's finally inside. Sorry.
Ari Leinbach, a moment ago, you commented that Buddy Lazier had a severe push. He has worked the weight jackers a little bit in the car, and the push has gotten better. He has been told as the fuel burns off, it should get less and less. He just reported a moment ago, the push is getting better. He's gaining speed. That's why he went by Salazar a moment ago.
And here is Jeff Ward now to the inside of a slower car, and Eliseo Salazar also comes up.
And we see that Salazar was running third. Now he's running fifth. He just got passed by Buddy Lazier first, and right afterwards he got passed by his teammate Jeff Ward. Jeff Ward has a great finishing record here. The last 3 years Jeff has finished second and third, and right now he's running in fourth position. And it's not over yet. We have 12 laps to go.
There is Montoya just going out of your frame, and here comes second place Jimmy Vasser. There is Lazier. And not too far behind him is Jeff Ward.
Look for it. You're +6 over Jimmy, you're +10 over Lazier.
That's Chip Ganassi telling Montoya what the situation is.
For those of you just tuning in for ABC World News, just stay with us. We will have it as at the conclusion of the Indianapolis 500. We have just a little more than 10 circuits remaining. On board with Buddy Lazier once again as he tries desperately to catch Juan Montoya, and he is catching up to Jimmy Vasser.
Well, he's all over Vasser.
He closed in on Vasser quite a lot that last lap by about 2 seconds.
Now 190 laps completed, 10 to go in the 84th running of the Indianapolis 500, and the leader at lap 190 has failed to win 4 of the last 5. So don't go away. Remember what happened last year as Robbie Gordon came down for the white flag. He ran out of fuel. And we'll see what happens here in the closing stages in 2000. Now Lazier once again closing in on Jimmy Vasser for that second position.
And it looks to me like he's got a great run coming off of 4 here. It's not going to happen this time around, but it looks like it's going to happen soon. And of course, we don't know about Jimmy Vasser's situation. He did not pit on that last lap, on that last yellow, and he might have to come in for fuel. But in the meantime, he's a buffer between Montoya and Lazier, and he can hold him up just enough so Montoya has a real nice cushion.
Well, if Vasser can hold him off, it might not be green light specials at Target. It might be 2 for 1 at the Target stores, Bob.
Jimmy Vasser has competed here 4 times previously. First back in 1992, he finished in 21st position as there is Montoya completing lap number 192. Second year here in Indy, Vasser finished 13th. In 1994, he was 4th. In 95, he was 22nd. And he returns now to the Indianapolis 500 and finds himself in the 2nd spot. But again, Lazier is all over him.
Traffic is right ahead of these two guys, but Buddy didn't need the traffic this time. He's doing it on his own.
Well,
he's getting by right now, and he will be the first one to encounter the traffic up ahead going into turn 3.
And Lazier takes 2nd position from Jimmy Vasser. But there's a long way up front, and laps are drawing short. The interval between Juan Montoya, we will get an interval as soon as Buddy Lazier crosses the line. It is 10.3 seconds, and now Jeff Ward closes in on Jimmy Vasser for the 3rd position.
But there's still a lot of emotions going on with Montoya. He's leading the biggest race that he's run in. He's won the kart championship. He's won 7 races last year, but this is still the biggest race that he might win today, but it's not over yet. 8 laps to go, 7 laps to go right now.
Ward unable to make a move on Vasser that time.
So he got caught in traffic. Ward gets caught in traffic. Vasser's doing everything he can to try to hold on to 3rd spot now.
In our coverage of the practice and qualifying here at Indianapolis this year, we found out that Roberto Guerrero was one of Juan Montoya's heroes, and they met here in Indy this year. Montoya, of course, from Bogota, Colombia, and Roberto Guerrero from Medellin, Colombia. There he is. And he'll come down to complete lap number 195. He finished 4th at Nazareth yesterday in the Kart FedEx Championship event.
5 to go. 5 laps to go.
Let's hear.
5 to go. Chip Ganassi tells Juan Montoya, and Montoya goes, okay, he's just really calm and relaxed there. He sounds like he's really in control.
Juan Montoya visited the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the first time last winter, and his first involvement with the track itself was on one of the tour buses, and he said that his first reaction was when he came onto the straightaway, wow, it's a long way to the end.
That's how we all get our first experience. That was my first experience with the Speedway in the bus.
Well, I'll tell you what, it isn't that far to the end right now, Bob.
6 laps to go for Juan Montoya.
Buddy Lazier has closed in a little bit.
4 laps to go, 196 complete.
Buddy Lazier took it down from 10 seconds to 8 seconds. So 4 laps to go. Right now, 7.8 seconds.
Well, Buddy's actually 2
and Vasser's coming in. Jimmy Vasser relinquishes his 3rd position to make a pit stop. He is low on fuel and cannot make it.
And he's not a happy camper right now.
And he'll get a splash and go, but it is a disappointing finish for Jimmy.
Well, they pretty much used Jimmy as the guinea pig because he's going to have a lot worse finish than he would have if he would have stopped in sequence.
Juan Montoya began racing at age 5 in go-karts. He has had an amazing career, including the kart championship last year in his rookie year.
Buddy this year still trails by about 7 seconds.
There are going to be 2 laps to go here in just a second.
+7 to Lazier, +7 to Lazier, 2 to go.
7.8 seconds to be exact. Next time around, the white flag will come out for Juan Montoya.
It has been an amazing performance for this young man at his age. 2 years ago, he was testing at Williams. He was blindingly fast. That's when Chip Ganassi went over there to watch it test runs. And now he was testing for Williams, and he was so impressed by Montoya testing the car at the time that he said, I'll hire this guy. And it looks like Montoya might be headed for Formula 1 in the next couple of years for Williams.
Indeed, the white flag is coming out.
White flag, 1 to go.
1 more lap to go for Juan Montoya.
Well, he's got a fast race car, but he's handled every situation thrown at him for 500 miles, Bob.
Especially the start of the race, which was a little dodgy. He didn't come out on top on that one, but he wasn't that eager to take the lead. He got a little squeeze there. Just kind of stayed in 4th place, came back to the front, and has hardly relinquished that lead.
Again, a rookie has not won the Indianapolis 500 since 1966 when Graham Hill drove to victory. It looks like that Juan Montoya is going to do it here this afternoon.
You're the winner of the Indianapolis 500, pal.
Indeed, 24-year-old Juan Montoya wins the 84th running of the Indianapolis 500.
Boy, great performance.
Just an incredible performance.
He is happy.
He led 3 times for a total of 167 laps. Montoya becomes the 60th different driver to win the Indianapolis 500.
Buddy Lazier finishes second for the second time.
Juan, Tom Sneem in the ABC booth. First of all, congratulations. Was there anything close out there for you? Juan, great job. Congratulations. Your thoughts going to Victory Circle?
Well, apparently he can't hear us, but he is acknowledging the applause of the crowd. Down to Vince Welch.
With Chip Ganassi. Chip, congratulations. You've just won the Indianapolis 500, and I'm not sure that there's been a more dominating performance from what we saw from Juan Montoya
That kid's
today.
unbelievable. He's the best driver in the world right now, the best driver in the world. It's that simple.
What's it mean to you to come here on basically a one-race situation and win the race?
It's the biggest moment of my life right now, I can tell you.
He led 167 laps. Considering the current climate of open-wheel racing, the victory and what it means for you, your team, and open-wheel racing
it's the biggest win of our team. We're just glad to finish after the kind of year we've been having, so we're pretty happy.
Will you run other IRL races?
Let me think about it.
Chip Ganassi, he's the winner.
Juan Montoya becomes the 169th driver to lead the Indy 500, yet he now ranks 29th on the all-time win list. Montoya passed 140 drivers who have led this race since 1911, and he did it in just a little over 3 hours. The Target Chip Ganassi car is being pushed onto, as I said earlier, the most important piece of real estate in all of auto racing, Victory Lane, at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Quite a story here, Montoya.
Quite a talent there, Montoya.
We heard that from Chip. He thinks he's the best driver in the world. He might be. It's kind of hard to say who's the best driver in the world, but we'll find out in the next couple of years as he develops.
Well, he had the best driver-car combination of the day for the 84th running of the Indy 500.
Down to Jack Arute in Victory Lane.
And there is a huge smile on the Colombian Juan Montoya as his crew congratulates him. This victory, a lot of it belongs to their crew as well because they had such phenomenal pit stops. Juan, congratulations. As they said, as Chip said, you're the most famous race car driver in the world right now. How do you feel?
I'm so happy, All the guys at Target, Budweiser, all sponsors did a great job. I'm just so happy.
And there is the traditional swig of milk. Did you have any problems whatsoever today, Juan? Because it looked flawless from our vantage point.
Oh, it was good, The only time I was a bit scared is when Lazier got close to me. And at that time I thought, it's going to be difficult. But I could pull away from him, and I tried so hard. And it's just beautiful for everyone at Target. Just thank you very much.
The last couple of laps before the last pit stop, you were talking back and forth with Chip about maybe changing a wicker. Chip overruled it and said, no, let's go with the wing instead. Good move.
Yeah, it was pretty good, Jimmy tried it and he didn't want to go loose.
All right, this is a very, very, very exciting Victory Lane, Bob.
Congratulations to Juan Montoya and Team Targa Ganassi, winners of the Indianapolis 500. Buddy Lazier finishes second.
Well, there's a definite symmetry to this day. It rained when we came on the air. The race was delayed over 3 hours by rain. The race has not been over 5 minutes. It is raining again. And there was a symmetry to Juan Montoya. When we saw him at the beginning of today's show, the first shot we showed you of Juan was as a 4-year-old in a car. He was in a car at 4. He was the go-kart champion of Colombia at age 14, and he is the Indy 500 champion at the age of 24. Juan Montoya has won the 2000 Indianapolis 500. And for our entire crew at ABC Sports, Al Michaels saying so long from Indianapolis as we take a look at the top 11 finishers with Montoya the winner, Buddy Lazier, who won it in 96, finishing second, Eliseo Salazar was third, and Greg Ray, who started first, finished last. It is, as always, a war of attrition.